Are there any movies that you can think of that have that have left a lasting impression and like changed you? Just like on a like any movies that you can think of off the top of your head where the first time you saw it, you were like, well, my life's never going to be the same because of this movie.
Stranger Than Fiction.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's the one?
Yeah, that's the one that did it.
That's a wild pull. I don't know
I
why. I like. How old were you in Stranger Than Fiction? You were not a child or anything.
Nah, I think what was it like 05, 06 or something? I probably just
Yeah.
graduated high school.
And that was one that you were like, "Whoa, oh, that you did not." What was it about that movie?
I mean, this is a big dive, but it steered me in the direction of becoming a better person.
Wow. Okay, maybe we won't go into that territory, but like, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I would not have thought of that.
Yeah, no. As soon as the credits like started rolling, I was just like, this unreal. Like my mindset, I don't think it's ever been the same.
Wow, Will Ferrell did it for you, huh?
Superb writing did it for me.
That
But
is a
yeah,
pretty good movie. I haven't seen it in a long time. I gotta revisit that one.
it's up there for me.
Wow. Well, the
Yeah.
one that we're talking about today is the reason I brought that up, but I'll get into that once we actually get into it.
The movie we are talking about today is There Will Be Blood.
There sure will. Welcome to Film School Dropouts, a movie podcast in which each season we cover a director's full filmography, as long as it isn't. And this is a big one. This is a big one that I'm cutting loose. I don't want to cover the films of Robert Zemeckis. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do Robert Zemeckis.
Oh, you're trying to cut Robert Zemeckis?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, just thinking about because I like to in the intro here, I like to sort of just lob up a director who I don't want to do and just spike him through the ground.
Oh no,
I think Robert Zemeckis is one that I really don't want to fucking cover.
I don't know why this little like massacre segment became a thing.
Yeah, I'm into it though.
No,
it is a massacre. It's a slaughterhouse, and I'm the butcher.
No, I'm thinking let's populate it. I'm looking at like cheesy, like straight to video directors now. Like,
oh well, that's obvious. I'm not covering fucking whoever. Oh, you want to add like the Universal Soldier franchise?
Let's do it, baby. Give me a little JCVD in my life.
Oh my gosh. No, I was just thinking about it, and I know Robert Zemeckis has made some big movies, but he's also made like 15 dog shit movies that I don't want to talk about.
Well, oh man, that's like Forrest Gump and Back to the Future. Like,
maybe we can do like a curated Robert Zemeckis season, because I don't want to talk about his mocap movies or The Witches or like anything. Flight, like I don't want to talk about Flight. What am I gonna say?
Oh my god! Literally, I thought about Flight today. Because
okay, I guess you know what you're gonna have to. You're gonna listen. I just want to let you know, if we ever do Robert Zemeckis, the sacrifice you're going to have to make is going to be monumental.
A pound of flesh.
Oh my god, I hate him. Anyways, yeah.
No, I was taking a shower today and I was thinking like, like just random directors, and for some reason, I was doing a line from Unforgiven. It made me start thinking about Clint Eastwood, which led me to think about Sully and your passion for Sully.
The perfect movie, Sully.
And then that led me to start thinking about how I prefer Flight over Sully.
A bad movie.
Oh my god.
The only reason you like Flight is because Denzel is very good in it.
John Goodman's amazing in it. Denzel.
Okay,
of course,
sure.
Denzel.
John Goodman shows up for 4 seconds and he's like, look at all the shit I'm doing. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. But then he's gone. He doesn't play a role in that movie. He just shows up with cocaine and a ponytail. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, obviously this is good. But yeah, no, if Denzel wasn't the lead in Flight, that movie would fucking be dog shit.
Give me a John Goodman ponytail any day.
It's so good. Anyways, we're on season 2 of Film School Dropouts. We're covering the films of my favorite director, Paul Thomas Anderson, this season. And this episode is on a little movie called There Will Be Blood. My name is James, and I'm here with my brother from another mother, Brent.
Eli.
Oh, no. Eli's not welcome on this podcast. Oh.
So this is a pretty big movie for you.
Yeah, this is probably one of the 5 most important movies of my lifetime for me.
Easy, just off the top of your head.
There's not
no
really
brainer.
That, which was kind of why I did the intro, where I wanted to, hear you talk about a movie that changed you, because this is, and we'll get into it, a movie that I watched, and again, I just don't think my life was ever the same. So we'll definitely dive into it. But before we do, let's talk about our little movie segment where we maybe shine the light on something a little smaller that we might not cover otherwise.
Okay, well, as right on track, you already know where I'm going.
The 90s.
Oh, let's get even more specific.
I don't Val Kilmer.
No. That's funny you would say Val, because I've been loving me some Val lately.
You have been bringing Val a lot.
No, I was talking about the year. This is 95, right in the middle.
Yeah, it feels like 95 is right in your sweet spot.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let's do it. I love that this segment is just you talking about movies from the 90s.
Well, okay, I thought about this also because I will venture out.
Yeah.
You know, I think season 1 I threw up Murder by Death from the 50s.
Yeah, but no, was that the 70s?
Whenever.
Yeah. No, sure. I mean, listen, I get it, man. The 90s, that's the sweet spot.
The point is, I will be venturing out, but I am gonna keep this close to the heart.
All right, I love it.
This is director we're not going to cover. It's a woman director that wrote it,
because we will never cover a woman's filmography.
Well, how many are there?
Tons. I have tons that I'm ready to.
Well, I'm on our list right now. I think there's Catherine Bigelow.
It's true. There's not a ton, because Hollywood is a cursed place that doesn't let women make movies. But there's at least 5, like off the top of my head, that I'm ready to do. Which I might, when it gets to my turn next, I might pick one of them.
Am I the first one choosing? Am I the first? Is this first time a woman has been chosen for this segment?
No, because I did the piano like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, damn.
Jane Campion.
Okay. Well,
a director we might cover someday. Anyways,
I think we're going to cover her.
Yeah. Who's this?
This is Holly Goldberg Sloan.
I'm not familiar. Has she done anything?
This is a kid's movie. She's literally this was her first movie, and then it just went down, and now I don't even know what she's doing.
1995. If she's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cute. It hasn't. I just watched it.
Is it animated?
I just watched it. There are tiny animated segments, but it's a sports kids movie called The Big Green.
The Big Green is a masterpiece.
Starring Steve Guttenberg.
Fuck yes. I love The Big Green.
Because you can't mention the 90s without Steve Guttenberg.
He's going to show up eventually.
Yeah.
The Big Green is a movie I used to watch like religiously.
Yeah, I used to watch it with my grandma, and she loved it, and it brought back, memories, and it still was good. It still was cute.
Holds up. What is it on Disney Plus or something?
It is on Disney Plus. There's a lot of now that I'm older, I can see like the themes of like illegal immigration and like.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, there's a few, like, just like how diverse the class is, but it's a.
Was there some like real sexual tension between the cop and the teacher in that movie?
No, if anything, that was kind of out of place, because I just don't see how because she like comes in and she's like literally saves this town and gives it like hope.
Hell yeah. And
like he's abrasively like it's a bit much nowadays. Well, sure. Yeah, and he's a cop flexing his power to like get a teacher, but in the process he like helps the kids out. I don't know. It's complex, but it's great. If you don't look too much into it, it's a fun time. And
Big Green's a fucking classic.
Yeah, and especially for kids, it's awesome.
Oh man, I love that. The Big Green.
Yeah, because you get to see like also from The Sandlot, I don't want to say the fat kid, but the fat redhead curly haired kid.
He's like on the poster. He's like the centerpiece of the poster.
I mean, no disrespect. Love the kid.
It's like him getting like blasted into a goalie.
He's the goalie, right? And he's like the theme of the movie is he sees like the different teams as their mascots.
Right. Oh, that's right. He like has like hallucinations where he has to,
and it's just fun.
It's so good.
It's fun.
That movie rules.
Yeah, it culminates with him as like a amalgamation of like all the mascots, and he just like the soundtrack kicks in. Oh, and you got the super smug opposing J.O.'s God, I can't remember his name, but the opposing coach is such a tool, but he's so much fun to watch.
Oh man.
That's what I watched. I had a great time. What did you watch? That has been exciting lately.
I mean, that just got me so excited. That
and we're not going to cover the one and done Holly Goldberg Sloan. I feel like this is a perfect time for this movie.
If you haven't seen The Big Green, what are you doing?
Right.
Just go see it. Okay. I'm bringing a movie that just came out this weekend. Also on Disney Plus. If The Big Green's on Disney Plus, then this is just a little Disney Plus block, which makes me writhe in agony, but it is what it is.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, it's the new Pixar movie Luca. directed by Enrico Casarosa. Enrico Casarosa. Yeah, have you seen Luca yet?
I thought you were going. Was it Raja and the Last Dragon?
Oh, Raya in the last. Yeah, Raya? I watched both. Yeah, I just got caught up on Raya, but
thought you were gonna give me a hook across the face. You hit me with the jab right there.
Yeah, no, I had to sneak it in there. Yeah, no, Raya is a fine movie. It's like I don't know, like a 5 out of 10. It's whatever. Luca, on the other hand, is a lovely little movie. It's it's this director's debut film. He did La Luna, which was one of the Pixar shorts in the past couple of years. I don't know if I know La Luna. That one doesn't jump out at me. But Pixar, how do you feel about Pixar?
I love Pixar.
Yeah, I mean, everyone our age does, right? We grew up on it.
Right.
Has gone through, I would say, a rough patch. Not that they've made like a bunch of bad movies, but they were sort of the premier animation studio for like decades, like probably 2 straight decades. They were just running the table. And I feel like the last 5-6 years, there's been some changes at their offices. The demon John Lasseter got ousted as being a total perv, and like, so there was just a lot of shakeup there. So I think the last couple of movies have been like middling. I thought Soul was good, but Onward I didn't really care for at all. And yeah,
I think my opinion of Soul is higher than yours. I really enjoyed Soul.
I think Soul's good. Yeah, it's got problems, but I think it's good.
But I also really enjoyed Coco too.
Well, so this is what I was going to say. I think this is probably their best movie since Coco. I might even like Luca more than Coco. It is such a slight little movie. There's no Coco's great, but he has to go to the land of the dead and like,
yeah, and you get the most big beautiful visuals ever in the land of the dead.
I love Coco. Yeah. And like Soul is about like the fucking afterlife and the before life and like existence and the nature of the human soul. And Luca is literally just about like 2 nice Italian sea monsters who have a nice summer in a village, and that's it. It's so lovely. It's really short. It's got the same sort of simple joy that all of the Pixar shorts have. It feels more like a Pixar short than any of the other movies, but it doesn't feel drawn out at all. It totally fits the feature length runtime. And I just had a great time with it. It didn't make me like burst into tears like how a lot of Pixar movies do, but it did. I was very appreciative of how they were able to make just like a nice little movie, and that's it.
Sounds lovely.
I mean, listen, the segment's called Little Movie. This is just a nice little movie.
Yeah, no, it's. I think I did remember seeing the trailer, or like not the trailer, but like maybe a teaser for it. And yeah, I'll watch anything that Pixar does. So
yeah, I mean, me too. I'm a slave to it, but like,
I think there's been like 2. The Last Dragon, or
no, that's not, just that's just Disney.
No, The Last Dinosaur.
Oh, The Good Dinosaur.
The Good Dinosaur.
That's a bad movie. The Good Dinosaur, more like the bad movie.
Ooh,
it's not very good.
Okay, well, but no, I'll definitely see Luca.
You know what the crazy thing about The Good Dinosaur is that movie has no. It might actually at like the end of the day have one, but there was like a solid like year and a half where no one was directing that movie.
It was just getting made by like
there was no director. Like the director got fired or was removed or walked off or something like that. And just for a year and a half, all the animators were like, yeah, I don't know. We're just like making the movie. So
I mean, I guess that's a good one for me to have missed.
Yeah, it's not very good.
I mean, I still want to see it, and I want to see Luca because who doesn't?
Yeah, you gotta check out Luca.
Ironically enough, we both went kids movies this week.
Yeah, Disney Plus kid movies.
Yeah, we're just watching.
I mean, Luca's on Disney Plus right now. They, for whatever reason, didn't put it in theaters, which infuriates me. But whatever. And it's a lovely little movie, and I think everyone should watch it. I don't know, it's great.
All right, check out Luca and The Big Green. Now streaming.
Definitely check out The Big Green.
Now streaming on Disney Plus.
Yeah. Oh, I'm removing that. They're gonna have to pay us for that one. Okay, well, are you ready to talk about just this simple little movie, There Will Be Blood, 2007? Not a big deal. We can just talk about it real quick.
Yeah, I mean this shouldn't be this shouldn't be a hard task at all.
No, not at all. All right. Well, let's kick things off and talk about There Will Be Blood.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've traveled over half our state to be here tonight. I couldn't get away sooner because my new well was coming in at Coyote Hills and I had to see about it. Ladies and gentlemen, if I say I'm an oil man, you will agree. I'm a family man. I run a family business. This is my son and my partner, H.W. Plainview.
You boys are a regular family business.
Now, you have a great chance here.
My son is a healer and a vessel for the Holy Spirit. He has a church.
And you will be cast up and thrust back to perdition.
I'm fixed like no other company in this field. I have a string of tools ready to put to work. That's why I can guarantee to start drilling and to put up the cash to back my word. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what the others promise to do, when it comes to the showdown, they won't be there.
Okay, well, like you said, this came out in 2007. The stars...
A great year for movies.
I mean, it's up there. There's a lot.
2007 is one of the best years for movies, but yeah, I don't know. Should we start with
the cream rises to the crop?
I mean, you got Michael Clayton, you've got Zodiac, you've got No Country for Old Men, you've got There Will Be Blood. What a just stellar fucking year. You know what I mean? And that's not even me going hard and getting into it. It's just such a good year for movies.
All of those were pretty impressive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a crazy year, but yeah,
I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't see this that year. I didn't see this until a few years later. I think I had one of my cousins, my cousin Rob, put it on for me. I want to say 5 years ago.
Okay, so this is somewhat recent for you.
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, what'd you think?
Maybe even less. Maybe 4. So, but this is my second time watching it.
Yeah,
and I remember the first time my mind was blown.
Sure. I feel like we should make a t-shirt with just your face that says "My mind was blown." That's like your catchphrase. You say it a lot. It's great.
Do it? Oh no.
No, it's good. It's good.
All right, we'll roll with it.
Yeah.
And then I watched it again this time, and guess what?
Your mind was blown?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the thing about this movie is it's very good. So the first time I saw There Will Be Blood, so this is going to be a very short story. It's not like some crazy long thing, but I was, I think 14 when this movie came out, 2007. So 14 or 15, I was 15 when this movie came out. So this was the first Paul Thomas Anderson movie I ever saw. I did not see it in theaters, but I saw it, I want to say in 2007, maybe early 2008. I was at a friend's house. I was in middle school. No, 15? No, I would have been in high school, right? Sophomore, probably?
I don't know. You're 12.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever. I would have been, I think, a sophomore in high school. So I'm at my buddy's house, and he had the what is it? Remember On Demand? Comcast On Demand?
Sure, yeah, I love it.
The blue screen.
A lot of hours watching that Comcast On Demand.
The music videos channel that you could. Oh yeah. So we would always go to his house because he had the fucking On Demand and I did not. And we got to watch tons of shit. And I remember There Will Be Blood was playing, and I think the week before or right around this time we had watched No Country for Old Men, which on my first viewing of No Country for Old Men I was not a fan. It kind of weirded me out.
Oh.
It's a very unnerving movie, but yeah, it didn't. I mean, now I love that movie. I've seen it a ton of times. It's great. It's a fucking great movie. But you're gonna say something about
yeah, it's amazing. Come on, it's first. I think I watched it twice, and also my same status. But
yeah,
this one is a little different.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's not too different. I always equate these movies in my head. They have sort of similarly eerie, blunt titles. And they both have this sort of scorched Western kind of frontier look to them. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll agree. Yeah, both those.
They were both up for Best Picture, and it was definitely a close tie between the two of them. So these movies are a pair in my head, No Country and There Will Be Blood. Really? So anyways, yes, I don't know why I always just equate them, but
see, I feel like this is so much more of a narrative. This is see, I feel like No Country it's got a lot of moving elements. You're kind of all. This is a vehicle.
This is a masterpiece.
For these. Yeah, this is giving the keys to Daniel Day-Lewis and being take me to.
Take me to Pound Town. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, so I remember we watched No Country. I was sort of mixed on it, and then within the next week we watched There Will Be Blood, and I remember sitting in that basement was 15 years old, and I'd never seen anything like There Will Be Blood in my life. You got the long dialogue-less first, 10, 15 minutes. Johnny Greenwood's weird percussive score when the oil well blows up. This scene where Daniel Day-Lewis like snarls after he says, "I don't want to talk about those things." Like, there's just all these weird things going on in this movie that I had never seen before or heard before. And I just remember the first reaction I had from that movie when it ended was, oh, I didn't know you could do this with movies. This was like the first movie for me where I was like, oh, I had no clue that movies could do whatever this movie is doing.
Right.
That's my relationship with this movie. It was like the first time I ever was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And obviously over time.
Well, just by how how you just described it.
Yeah.
It totally expanded your mind. So that's
really
why,
did. Yeah.
Like it changed your way of thinking, especially about this like medium of entertainment for sure.
It really did.
Like the first, like, was it 12, 15 minutes?
There's nothing.
There's no dialogue, but this is, I think it might be like the best one, easily one of the best openings to a movie.
Yeah.
Because this is what I'm talking about. We've seen it. Paul Thomas Anderson has done this a few times with his last few movies, and I mentioned it, how and I love it, and I wish more directors did it, where they're not telling me, they're showing me.
Big
in
time
this
on this
first
movie.
12 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever, where there's no dialogue, I'm learning so much about this character, how he can get injured right off the bat, and he still, what's his first instinct is still to look to see if he's so driven.
Yes.
By,
I think that's one of the, the thing about this movie that's crazy is when you compare it to Punch Drunk Love, like that's one of the first things that sort of blows my mind is when you go and you watch Punch Drunk Love, which is, we raved about it last week, but it's 90 minutes. It's got Adam Sandler in the lead role. It sort of amounts to just like, oh, isn't that lovely? And then he takes 5 years off. He doesn't make a movie between 2002 and 2007. And he comes back and he's like, I've made an American masterpiece. I've made one of the great American movies. And the beginning of this movie starts off by immediately like canonizing Daniel Plainview as one of the great American film characters. Because like you said, there is no dialogue. It is all shown to you visually. And the thing that immediately tells you everything you need to know about Daniel is he falls down the well and he's able to crawl back up with a broken leg. And the next time you see him, he has his own business. And you're like, well, I didn't really need to see what happened in between him breaking his leg and having his own business. But like, I know that this dude is driven beyond belief because of what he was able to come back from in that first scene. Crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, he break, like you said, first off, I was scared. It startled me. It scared me twice.
Okay.
How the camera is underneath the ladder and he falls like on it.
This is a thing that happens like many times throughout the movie, is people falling or things falling down wells and like injuring people. And it's always frightening because he puts you in there with the camera and you're like, oh fuck, we've already been through this like 3 times. We know where this is going to go. And it never happens in a good way. Never turns out well.
Yeah. My heart sank when he, because the ladder rung breaks and he starts falling. And it's just like, oh, you get that little jump, that little startle, just to welcome in this. Yeah. He breaks his leg and the character's first thought, like, he has a momentary thought where he's realizes he's hurt, but then it's almost in an instant he reaches to find out what his bomb did, to see the dynamite, if it worked, if he's about to be rich. He instantly is all about making that cheddar ching.
Daniel Plainview making that cheddar ching.
Like, just so driven, like you said, driven beyond belief.
Yeah, it's biblical the way that this movie treats him.
Yeah, I love that it is shown, and it's not, it's just so many movies are spent, talking about like, exposition, it's just, I love how this just takes, just point the camera and let it, it's so good. It's so masterfully done right off the bat.
So this is not a very plot heavy movie. Like a lot of the movie's runtime is spent like just like long scenes of characters not even talking, sometimes just like standing in mud or whatever. So it shouldn't be too much of a task for us to talk about the plot of the movie, but we're definitely going to have to talk about the performances of this movie, because that's where all of the kind of insanity from this movie comes from.
Yeah, this is 100% about the characters, and specifically the like you said, the iconic Daniel Plainview
And Eli Sunday.
My
boy, Paul Dano.
He does something crazy here, doesn't he?
Yeah, I was watching this and I was like, how did he not get an Oscar nomination for this performance? And then I went and looked at the best supporting actors for that year, and I was like, oh, okay, it's one of the best supporting actor lineups ever. So I guess I'll allow it. But yeah, I mean, sucks that he didn't get a nomination.
It is kind of shocking he didn't get a
I think the BAFTAs were the only organization to nominate him for this movie.
That's wild.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, this was a year, like I said, with like Michael Clayton, like Tom Wilkinson gets nominated for Michael Clayton. Philip Seymour Hoffman gets nominated for Charlie Wilson's War, which isn't like a great movie, but he's great in it. It's a very strong field. When I was reading it, I was like, okay, I guess I see why this didn't happen. But you know, Javier Bardem gets nominated for No Country. Like, what are you going to do about that?
Obvious, but I don't know if we get the Paul Dano we have right now. If he, I don't know. A lot of times you see like a little push, and then maybe they're less driven, or they're not offered as many roles, because I think he's peaking right now.
This is one of the most intense performances ever. I love Paul Dano. I think he's great in everything he does. But yeah, it's just one of those, like I said, this movie's fucking biblical. Like, there's no way you're gonna come around and just top this, you know? It's just not gonna happen, I don't think.
I thought he was great in Swiss Army Man.
I mean, listen, you don't gotta come for me with Swiss Army Man. That's one of my favorite movies. But
I'm really
it's nothing like this.
I'm really excited to see what he does as Riddler too.
Of course, yeah.
So this is the first time when Paul Dano's like, damn, okay, this guy can freaking act. For me, at least.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when was Little Miss Sunshine? That was a couple years before this, right? Because that was, I think, the movie that everyone was like, who's this kid? You know? Okay, well, let's talk about the plot of this movie, I guess. Let's kind of work our way through it. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the movie opens, it fades in on these big hills out in California, and Johnny Greenwood's just haunting strings sort of blare like a siren announcing the beginning of this movie.
Yeah, it gives me it's kind of mimicked later on in The Witch, but like those.
Yeah, it does have that almost horror violin.
Yeah, it's like a haunting, almost like.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking going in this movie completely blind, not knowing what it was about. Like I wanted.
Really? Yeah, I guess me too.
I wanted, because that's how I prefer to see movies. I don't want to even read a synopsis. I just want to go in blind and introduce me to the world. So I didn't know what I was expecting. And then, like we talked about, within 2 seconds, you meet this evil. I'm just going to say it. Evil.
You think Daniel's evil?
Yeah, I'm just going to say it.
You think Daniel's evil from the beginning of the movie, though?
Yeah.
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 Okay. I mean, Daniel is one of the most interesting characters in Paul Thomas Anderson's entire filmography. He's so much harder to pin down than any of his other characters. Like, if you want to pluck out like Barry from Punch Drunk Love, we pretty much psychoanalyzed him. Like, we figured out what was going on with him pretty easily. Dirk Diggler, he's an easy one to pin down. Daniel Plainview is so much harder to pin down because he is such an egomaniac and such a like power hungry like oil magnate, but at the same time he's able to care about other people as long as it suits his needs. You know what I mean? But it doesn't, like, when he's doing that, it doesn't ever come off as him being insincere. Like he'll kind of tell the audience with his actions, like, okay, I adopted this kid because like I needed a cute face to sell oil. But there are so many moments with him in HW where I'm like, but he does actually care about him, even if like the end result is he's using him. I don't think of him as being like a terrible father until he is. Like all the scenes before he becomes a terrible father, he's pretty sweet to HW.
See, and I made it a point.
He's so complicated.
He is definitely the most complicated character that Paul Thomas Anderson has created, and I think that's because he
up to this point.
He literally gets, this is his movie. The whole movie is about him, and you can make a case about HW, but like you see,
it's about him and Eli, I think.
Oh, see, I put it way more on HW. I feel like I grew up with this kid.
I mean, definitely. HW is more of like I don't know. HW I mean, he becomes deaf and literally can't talk anymore. So he is sort of this silent observer to everything that's going on.
Yeah,
so
but
you can kind of put yourself in HW's shoes.
Yeah, but even as he can't, even after he loses his hearing and whatnot, you still like, I don't know, you watch him grow, like you see him get married, you see him learn sign language, you see him form a bond with, I forget
his translator.
Not just his translator, but it was the little girl that becomes his wife.
Mary.
Like, yeah, as a kid, you see her wanting to like learn the sign language. We're getting ahead of each other, but I'm just saying,
that's fine.
For me, it felt like this, the two,
because I feel like what this movie is for me is a battle between good and evil, where neither of the characters are fully good or evil. It's like each of them have good and evil in them between Daniel and Eli, and it's a battle between them, and that's where I think the bulk of the movie comes from for me, all of the emotion. But I can't deny
that.
I can't deny the last couple of minutes with HW are incredibly effective.
Well, see, I think it's more of I like how you just painted that, but I think it's more there's just if I'm a big math guy, 90% of both of the characters as far as Eli and Daniel are evil.
Interesting.
With 10% good.
Okay. Sure.
Because I don't see they do make it a point to show like a couple of like fatherly-esque scenes where Daniel's makes the minimal effort of like.
I don't think he makes the minimal effort. He's a good dad until he isn't.
I don't know. It's
and like he also has the scene where he let's get through the movie. We're jumping all over the place, which is fine. I guess we're gonna have to do that anyways. But
because this is it's not normally we are guided by the plot, where here we're guided by the characters.
Yeah, it's not a very plot heavy movie.
No, and I think it's different from anything we've seen to date so far.
Okay. Yes.
Because
You're
even
right.
with Punch Drunk, there is still. I don't know. There's still so much going on in that movie where here it's just like, let me introduce you to Daniel Plainview. This is his motives are money. He likes money, and watch him make money.
Yeah.
In the process,
if you boil it down, yeah.
In the process, his obstacles are, I guess we'll spoil it, make-believe brother or wannabe brother, a religious
that's a crazy part of the movie, but yes, a religious fanatic,
different landowners,
his relationship with his son, all the other different companies.
But the meat of this movie is Daniel Plainview's journey through these obstacles,
and his complete deterioration as a human.
Oh my god. But there's no better actor in the world or to do it, in my opinion, than Daniel Day-Lewis. And this is where I pull out my soapbox.
You can pull out your soapbox. I'm gonna be Flavor Flav hyping you up in the background. So. We should probably talk about Daniel Day-Lewis.
No, this is a shared soapbox, if anything, because we both acknowledge that this is, I think, the best to ever do it.
Yeah, it's a boring opinion. It's like the most basic opinion of all time to say Daniel Day-Lewis is a good actor, but
it's the most validated.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
But I was actually just reading an article on method acting, and actually it was about Meryl Streep and why she doesn't like doing it anymore.
I saw that.
She had to method act for The Devil Wears Prada and basically made everyone miserable the whole time.
Sure, I mean, Miranda Priestley is an evil character.
I totally get that. I understand. So she abandoned method acting. Daniel Day-Lewis I think this may have contributed to him retiring early because
he's talked about it. I actually do want to get into that. We can either talk about it today or we can talk about it on the Phantom Thread episode. But his sort of famous method acting technique everyone knows now because of him.
He is a once in a lifetime method actor where basically for the entire duration of the shoot of this movie, he becomes this character even while the cameras aren't rolling.
Right.
And
which he's done forever. I mean, I think he did that for My Left Foot. Like he made people push him around in a wheelchair. Like, he's done it for a long time. So
he commits.
Do you want to hear a crazy story about Daniel Day-Lewis? And I don't have a lot of time to research, so this is just based off of like a little bit of poking around. I don't know how true this is. So Daniel Day-Lewis, you might not believe this, used to be a theater actor. I mean, look at
Shocker.
him. Of course, he was like a Shakespearean legend, But he was doing he was doing a performance of like Hamlet or Macbeth or one of those fucking Shakespeare plays. I don't know. And there's a scene where he like has to talk to a ghost or like the ghost of his father or something. And Daniel Day-Lewis, being the most intense, like sensitive actor on the planet, is on stage, and he literally can't handle the emotions overcoming him on stage in the performance because he's having to confront like the memory of his father. And he turns to the audience and says, "I'm sorry, I can't do this," and walks off stage and never does theater again.
Wow.
He got so overwhelmed with his own emotions that he's like, I can no longer participate in this medium. Just never did theater again.
Wow. That's like,
he's
honestly,
so insane.
Well, that's when it becomes so real. Like it starts to scare me. Like,
yeah.
Like, because just it's like, thank God he didn't get in like a serial killer's head. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Yeah. Thank God he didn't play like, Ted
exactly. Because it becomes too real for these guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, that's just a crazy anecdote. I don't know how accurate it is, but pretty cool story regardless.
Like, by all means, play early or 19th century oil men.
Yeah.
That are old, decrepit, because he ages with them, like, as you can see.
Okay, so yeah, we get introduced to Daniel through this really long. I mean, do we talk enough about Daniel Day-Lewis? Do you want to keep talking?
Well, he's just the goat.
He's so good.
He's just the goat. Like
this is I want to say this is probably the first time I saw him in a movie. I'm trying to think. Now maybe I saw him in Gangs before this, Gangs of New York, because I probably saw that right around the time it came out too.
You know what I think? The first thing I saw him in was in high school. We were shown The Crucible.
Oh, that's got to be it. The Crucible. That's got to be it.
I was like, how are we allowed to? How is this school that I get to watch this guy? This
god.
Like it blew when the climax of that movie when he has.
That's the thing about that movie is like it's fine. It's a pretty good movie with him and Winona Ryder. When he has the breakdown, he starts yelling about
when he takes
name.
it to 10, and he's like,
I'm like,
okay. Yeah, it's like I didn't see acting until that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So The Crucible probably was the first one I saw him too. But then this is close, second or third, whatever. But yeah, he's a fucking legend. He doesn't act anymore. He's retired. And even when he did act, he only acted like once every 4 years whenever the, urge hit him, I guess. He's not like a guy who goes out and performs in every movie ever, partially because it takes him probably 3 years to get into the right mindset to be a character.
Right, the transition.
He'll fucking like for Phantom Thread, he's like, yes, Paul Thomas Anderson, I will come back and do a movie with you, but first I need to go become a tailor. And like his like fingers are all fucked up because of how much he like made actual dresses and shit. Like for Gangs of New York, I don't know, like he became an actual butcher. I don't like what that's insane. Or In the Name of the Father, he actually like joined the IRA and became a terrorist. I don't know.
It's wild. The lengths
he's the most legendary method actor. Like he's the famous method actor,
and it shows in his work because I genuinely believe that he is these people. Like when I thought he became Abe Lincoln.
Oh yeah, Lincoln! What a fucking like. Lincoln is one of the few movies where he like stepped into at the last minute because Liam Neeson was supposed to play that part and he ended up dropping out. I want to say that was right around the time maybe Neeson's wife died in that weird accident. But yeah, that's one of the few times where, I don't know, he didn't have enough time to like write the Declaration of Independence or whatever the fuck, so he just had to step into that role. But he's so good in Lincoln.
He's so good. And
I think the only time he's been not good. Have you ever seen the movie 9, that musical he did?
I skipped that one.
Okay, good. It's not very good. He's not very good in it. That movie was supposed to be, I think, a Javier Bardem movie, and Bardem dropped out at like the last second. And for whatever reason, Daniel Day-Lewis was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and he's not good in it. And I think part of the reason is like he's just one of those guys who you could make fun of him for the method acting and like you can be like, what a dork that he does all this shit. But I think he actually needs it. Like, I don't think he's the guy who can just step into a role and be like, yeah, I can do this. He needs to like fully embody the character for a year and go learn how to, fucking cobble shoes or whatever he needs to do.
Yeah, I don't think that is an easy process to become someone else. Like, no. I think that is a very understated ability that people just, it just goes by the wayside that this man has. Like I had, this is gonna tick you off, but one person was like, "Oh, actors, all they do is lie." Like, is that That's it. That's the end. That's the grossest oversimplification.
Yeah, no, that's a really boring read of what the entire. I mean, acting is such a noble, like incredibly impressive profession that I love so much. Yeah, so Daniel Day-Lewis is pretty good in this movie, anyways.
He knows how to act. Is the
wins
point
his
of
third
all that.
Oscar for this movie. No big deal. So we start with Daniel in the mountains, and he's looking for silver. He's by himself. He's obviously just some prospector, and we've already gone over the scene. So he gets hurt. He comes out. It fucking jump cuts like 4 years because he started in 1898, and then we jump to like 1902, I think. And this is when he has like a small operation. He's drilling for oil, and
yeah, that was actually one thing I wanted to talk to you about because there isn't really explained. There wasn't a trigger that shifted him from silver to oil. That was
I think it's just no. I mean, a lot of this movie takes place in between scenes. We're like,
well, no, because I think, but that also gives you the detail of the lack of showing it. Let me know that he is just sticking with the times. Like he's so about money and getting money, and this is the newest way to make money. That
cheddar ching ching or whatever you said.
Yeah, he just shifted instantly his whole business plan.
Yeah, I think that is
to go with the times.
Man, that is, yeah, that's a good read because it is. He starts off mining for silver, and then the next time you see him, he's looking for oil
with no explanation. He just that about it. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that right there, you know how I like to mention if the characters are smart and believable.
Yeah, he's really smart in this movie.
And like, there's been movies with Paul Thomas Anderson where I have not felt like the characters were believable at all, but this character feels like Punch Drunk Love. This is 2 in a row where these characters feel with the dialogue specifically. I'm talking about because I just feel like these are real characters. Where like,
this movie feels very like lived in and real.
Oh yeah. It just felt like even when he's at his most heinous, maybe it had something to do with Daniel Day-Lewis' delivery of most of these lines.
But
I just felt like the dialogue and the scripts were incredible also.
Yeah, I mean, this fucking script is incredible. Yeah, it's such a good fucking script. This, like the lines that are delivered in this movie are like I said, biblical and Shakespearean, and like this movie belongs in that echelon.
I wonder how much it has to do with his delivery, like because the way he delivers these lines are just like he'll do it with these little like because the whole movie he's rocking this healthy mustache.
Oh, that thing is putting Aaron Eckhart from Sully to shame.
It might be the most. It's up there for the most iconic movie mustaches.
Yeah, it's definitely up there, but like then. You gotta like turn your head and like Sam Elliott is just standing there and he's like, "What the hell, man?" Like every movie he's in.
Good point.
Yeah, no. So let's get past this like little prologue. So this is the scene where he's got his small little oil group. It doesn't even seem like he has like a big company at this point, and he's down in the well with this other guy, and they're bailing out oil from the well. And part of the scaffolding like falls down and crushes the other guy. And there's this incredible shot, a phrase I'm going to say a lot in this episode, incredible shot. There's this incredible shot of Daniel Day-Lewis covered in oil, and you can just see him peeking over his shoulder with just his eye visible as he looks at like the dead body of this guy. Oh man, that scene's so fucking good. And then you go right up to the surface with him and the baby. Because this is when he adopts HW, because the guy who dies in the well is HW's actual father.
Yeah, and even before, like
you said, they do not explain any of this.
Well, even right before this, you see the actual father. It's almost like at first it came off like almost like baptism by oil. Like like symbolic, like this will be his life and what it's based around.
Yep.
Because he gets like the little dot on his forehead.
His dad like puts a little
christened. He's like.
God, what a fucking movie. Yeah.
But the more I watched the movie, it became like my first thought was like, oh, he just got christened. He got blessed by oil.
Yep.
No, he got cursed by oil.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely.
The more you watch it, it becomes that little throwaway moment in the beginning becomes louder and louder because it echoes throughout his entire life.
Yeah, poor kid. I do love HW. What a good kid he is. Okay, so then we jump forward again. I think now we're in like, I don't know, it's like another 4 years or 2 years, something like that. Now he is Daniel Plainview, fucking oil emperor, going from town to town. He's an orator. He goes and speaks in front of the entire city, trying to lease land. he has to sell it to the entire town hall. He's got his son with him, and he's giving these incredible, like, how do you even describe the way he's talking here? It's very matter of fact and very humble.
I thought the first thing, it was like snake oil salesman, almost like,
kind of, yeah. He's like a classy snake oil salesman.
Like nowadays you get, there's a billion scams every second, phishing emails. Right. But this is like, back in the day, there weren't a lot of scams happening, but this
isn't a scam.
I mean,
he's not scamming anyone.
He's not scamming. Everyone's making a little bit, but he's making.
Well, of course. Yes, of course.
I know
the most, but yeah, it's not. I mean, he's not like scamming anyone. He's not stealing their money.
I think
the cool thing about, like, I mean, if Daniel weren't, like you said, evil, I think the cool thing about what he's doing is, like, he goes to a town like Little Boston, and where they don't have a school or roads or crops, he is able to create an economy just from his wells, and I think everyone benefits. He obviously benefits the most, but it's not like he's scamming them.
I mean,
and what's great about this first scene, though, is he's not evil yet. He's just driven. What's great about this first scene is he's comes to the town. He tells them exactly, in very calm, simple terms, what it is that he does. The town freaks the fuck out. Everyone in the town hall starts yelling at each other, saying that we do need this, we don't need this, this guy's selling us something, blah, blah, blah. He just calmly gets up and leaves, and the one gentleman runs, and he's like, no, we need you. And he's like, no, thank you. I wouldn't take the lease if you gave it to me as a gift. He doesn't have time for any of this bullshit.
Yeah, that's what makes me feel like right off the bat, you see this man holding literally all the cards, and he's just like, oh, I will give you one card if you, like, I don't know, it's extortion to me. It comes out.
No, it's not extortion.
Yeah, because
he's not taking anything from them.
He's not. He's taking what they have that's valuable, which is their oil and their land.
Right, but they're not doing anything with it. They can't do anything with the oil. He's coming with the tools, saying, "Hey, I'll do this for you. I'll provide. We'll get money, and I'll take most of it. But you're going to get money that you didn't have before."
They're also at fault for not, like, taking.
Why am I defending capitalism?
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I get what you're saying. He's creating an economy and all that. I just feel like he's also taking their.
Okay. Yeah, sure. So this next scene is when we get introduced to Paul Sunday.
Yeah,
this is after this.
So yeah, he's got this. I think he's looking over, or his son is sleeping. I like that.
His son is sleeping, and
HW gets up in this scene.
It's really good. He's just like, hi.
Well, because that just shows you he's about it.
He's a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that Daniel like doesn't treat him like a silly child. Like, when it comes to the actual business, he actually does treat him like a partner, which is, I don't know, that's nice of him, I guess.
Ooh, I would have liked a little more fatherly and less partner.
Well, I guess if Kevin Costner wants to play this role, maybe you'll get that, but oh god.
No, yeah, it makes the character so complex because he's
incredibly,
but you don't know how much
he's the best kind of character, because you're kind of disgusted with him, but at the same time he's being played by someone who you're like, well, I can't look away though. I gotta see more of what this guy's doing.
Yeah,
even though he's despicable.
Like, Daniel Day-Lewis in this role specifically is kind of wiry, like a thin frame.
He is a wiry guy.
Yeah. I know I'm way bigger than him, could probably beat him up. I'm terrified of Daniel.
Run away, run in the opposite
instantly.
Direction. He will crush you in a way that you don't understand.
He gets this like look in his eye where it's like, oh yeah, he's nuts. Yeah. I don't want. Yeah.
He's
rich. I should get out of here.
Yeah. You're not going to do anything to him on any level.
8 years, he becomes an oil tycoon, basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. Like, he crawls out of a hole in the desert with a broken leg and ends up as like the most powerful oil tycoon on the West Coast. Pretty impressive.
Ambitious.
Yes. So Paul shows up in this next scene. You have Daniel and Kieran Hines who are just looking over paperwork, and Paul walks into this room. It's Paul Dano. He's a worm. He's just like a wormy little fuck. He's so, oh god, Paul Dano gets under my skin in this movie so bad.
Well, and it's not even one of those faces.
He does have a weird face, and like this this soft voice where you're like, what's going on with this fucking guy? And he's not even that bad in this scene. It's when he plays Eli later in the movie where it's like, okay, I need to shoot him in the head. He's no good. But yeah, Paul comes in.
Yeah, wormy.
He's wormy. He's wormy as fuck. And he tries to sell information to Daniel Plainview on where he can find oil because his ranch sits on oil.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like in this scene, it just speaks to about like any other movie. Like you can see Karen Hines like character just like kind of standoffish, like just you can see. But what does Daniel Plainview? Well,
and this is the
he
first
just
time
like he's so dominant.
This is the first time in the whole movie where you see Daniel is willing to do anything for his business because he's kind of pulling the silver tongue act on this kid. He's trying to smooth talk him. He's trying to get information out of him for free. He's trying to, do what he's got to do. And to his credit, Paul isn't a dumb character. He's just kind of creepy and I don't like him, but he knows what he wants. He has information. He knows to sell it for a decent amount of money, right? Like that's what's going on in the scene. But what's great about the scene is this is the first time you see Daniel step over a line that you didn't know he was going to step over, which is he threatens Paul.
The oil is there. I'm telling you. I want to go now, so...
Oh, you can stay tonight.
No, I want to go now. I want to leave.
Listen, Paul. If I travel all the way up there and I find that you've been lying to me, I'm going to find you and I'm going to take more than my money back. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
All right, then.
Nice luck to you. God bless.
And to you, young man.
An incredible line of dialogue. The fact that it ends with him being like, is that okay with you? Oh, I mean, like, you shit yourself, right? Like,
what do you say to that? Like, yes?
Like, yes, daddy, I don't know.
I'm terrified.
So, sure. And this is the last time we see Paul. Paul's gone after this.
Yeah, I mean, this is not, if you haven't seen the movie, there is a twist in this movie.
Not really a twist. It's just like...
It was a twist for me the first time I saw it.
You're like, oh, a twin.
Because I thought the next time you see Paul Dano, you are introduced to Eli Sunday.
Yes.
And I just thought he was lying.
Oh, no. He's... Yeah. Oh, you mean like at the end of the movie, it's a twist.
Yeah.
Because you found out he actually was a twin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I guess I just didn't buy into that ever. Like, I knew that he was... Because early in the movie, Eli says something like, your dumb son, Paul, told him... you're a dumb father to a dumb son.
I think there's are lines that give it away. Maybe I just didn't hear, but also they both were acting wormy. Why are both?
Yeah, that's true. They're both
brothers are wormy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love Paul Dano, but it's not like he can play like a charismatic leading man. Look at him.
Well, I threw me.
Yeah. No. So.
And at the dinner with the family, there's only one brother, and I was just like.
Because the first time you meet Eli is they're setting up camp because they've gone to the Sunday Ranch, and Eli walks up to them and introduces himself, and both HW and Daniel are looking at him like, what the fuck do you mean you're Eli? And like, then he walks away, and I think they both get it like, oh, it's a twin. I see. Okay. But then, again, unspoken, because most of this movie is unspoken.
And I prefer it to be unspoken.
I mean, the obvious biblical references all throughout this movie. I mean, the entire Sunday family, like their family name is Sunday, which is the Lord's Day. Eli, Abel, Paul, Mary, like all very biblical names. And like I said, just the battle between good and evil. But like
Daniel's in the Bible too. What is?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Daniel. All of them have very biblical names in this movie.
HW.
Kieran Hines. No. Oh God. Okay, so yeah, they make their way to the Sunday Ranch under the pretense of hunting for quail, and he's going to try and buy the Sunday Ranch for quail money instead of oil money.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, he's lying to the family.
No. He's a smart businessman.
Sure, but I mean, I guess they did hunt quail.
Who probably loves Daniel Plainview?
Who?
Donald Trump. Anyways, they go into the Sunday Ranch. So yeah, the Sunday Ranch scene is fun because like it is sort of them at a battle of wits with each other, especially when Eli gets involved and he's like, you're not going to buy this for quail money. You're going to buy this for oil money. And immediately you can see that Eli is the head of the household and not Abel.
Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson
fucking cucks his dad out of power.
Yeah, like during that conversation, I love how like the whole time Daniel's sitting and faced towards the dad, and then like the more Eli takes over, Paul Thomas, you just see it's
Daniel
still
has to, like, turn. Oh yeah, Daniel's annoyance in this scene is so fucking fun because Eli is right. Eli has all the right information, and every time Daniel has to turn to him and be like, well, are you going to draw it out of the ground? Like, do you know someone? You know, he has to like one up him even though he's right. It's great. It's so fun. This is a fun scene.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that, like, you see him getting more and more frustrated as it goes, and then when you finally see like his whole body shift to where he starts sitting towards Eli, it's like in that moment he realizes, oh, this guy doesn't have the power, this guy has the power.
He's talking to the wrong guy.
And I just love that the mechanic that Paul Thomas Anderson used to capture that.
Right, because Eli has all the power because he is the priest of Little Boston.
Yeah, he's the head of the congregation.
Yeah, the third revelation of Christ Church or whatever it's called.
The holy people under this, I don't know.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So after this scene, I mean, is there anything else we need to talk about in this scene? They do go quail hunting and like find the actual oil, which is sitting on top of the ground, and he explains like, oh, there was an earthquake here recently, that's why all this seepage happened, and like the oil's at the surface is because it got knocked loose from the it's just so cool. Anytime someone can like, you know, show their work of the actual progress in the movie, I love that shit.
Well, what do you mean?
Like when Daniel and HW go hunting for quail, and HW steps in the oil, and he shows his dad like, hey, there's oil sitting on the surface, and then Daniel, I love that Daniel is, you know, such a pro that he's able to immediately be like, oh, there was an earthquake here, so that's why the oil got knocked loose.
This is earthquake oil.
Yeah. I
love that's sweet, that like showing his craft, like showing that he's actual badass.
So good.
I love that they actually went quail hunting.
Again, quail hunting.
Yeah, that justifies it a little bit, so he's not straight up scamming them like he does see. I know. Second time I mentioned the scam, but yeah, no, it just justifies it. Yeah, it's pretty sweet when you see like that whole little scene where like he stick his finger in it, or what does he stick in to the oil?
Stick.
And he sticks a stick in
there, and then he lights it on fire.
Yeah, and it starts burning instantly, and you're like, yeah, that's
and
black gold right there.
It's a great moment where he grabs HW by the shoulder and he like smiles at him like, oh, there's gold here, and then HW grabs his shoulder back. It's adorable. He's like a little kid being like, yeah,
I know. Oh God,
I mean, it really does tee you up for like how disgusting he is at the end of the movie, because this is all great and like all of their father-son moments are great. But yeah, at the end of the movie, you find out how his true feelings for HW, and it's like, oh fuck, that sucks.
Well, because it's all of those, like that moment you just talked about that looked like it was great on the surface.
It's very genuine. Yeah.
It was hollow underneath. Because
for him, yes. I think HW took a lot from it.
For sure, as a normal human would.
This movie is so fucking layered. It's crazy.
But like Daniel Plainview, all of those moments meant absolutely nothing for him except for finding. He remembers finding the oil more than he does bonding with his son, for sure.
Right. So what's the deal he makes with Eli? He says he's going to give the church a $5,000 donation in exchange for their land.
Yeah, something.
Which never happens, which is great.
Yeah, what is that about? Well, he just straight up never gave. I thought at one point he did make a donation when he had to get Bandy on the side.
He never makes the donation. We'll get to it because we'll get to that scene that you're talking about. He never makes the donation.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Which I love. But he makes this deal with the Sunday family, and then immediately, he starts buying up all the fucking land in Little Boston, except for he can't buy this one place, the Bandy Tract, owned by William Bandy, and which we'll revisit later, I guess. You know, that's just something that happens later. But he's asked to go talk to William Bandy, and he sort of nonchalantly is like, we'll make him wait, and he thinks that he's going to get the land back, but he doesn't. So he starts setting up his oil well.
Yeah, and even as he's setting up, you see, I think even before the first accident happens, you see him draw plans. So you know he's mechanically sound also.
Oh, yeah.
Even though the plans that he drew up were the reason that he has HW, because those Whatever construction he blew or drew up didn't work.
Broke.
It was like a multi bucket draining it.
Some weird thing, yeah.
It didn't look very like 3 guys were up top. Like,
no, what was it, 1902? No, this shit looks garbage.
Like a wheel and pulley system. Like 3 guys at top, 2 guys in the bottom, putting the oil in the bucket.
Of course, someone dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he starts setting up the oil.
I just wanted to give a shout out to his mechanical side also, because
you love that shit. That's what I'm saying. I love movies that are able to show like this guy's a pro and this guy's such a pro that this is what the movie's going to be about for a second.
Well, because his early attempts at drawing something that worked ended up, like we see, bringing him lots of money later on, because he probably innovates and adjusts it accordingly.
Exactly.
So just badass.
So good. So in this little section of scenes we might be talking about out of order, but it's not really that pertinent. But you get the scene where like the entire community comes together for like a picnic or something to celebrate the like construction of his oil well. And this is right around this time, I think HW tells Daniel that Mary, who is Abel's daughter, told HW, "My dad abuses me."
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this. Like,
this is some of my favorite shit in the movie, when Daniel like just big dogs the Sunday family.
What does he do exactly to like?
It's so good. So
you see, like,
again, we're just gonna jump around a little bit.
Well, yeah, but even like the tie up this little subplot.
Okay.
Because you do see a storyline. Well, you get a few scenes with Mary.
Yeah.
But I think
not much.
Not much, but she's there, worth mentioning. And right after that scene, he asks her, he doesn't hit you anymore, does he?
So there's 2 scenes I want to talk about, like surrounding Mary, who doesn't really have much to do in this movie, but the couple scenes that she's involved in are great. So you find out that Mary, the youngest daughter of the Sunday family, is being abused by her father, Abel. And there's a lot of inference to like put on the scene. Like, if Abel is beating her, and we already know that Eli is the head of that fucking household. Eli is obviously the one who like takes control of everything. Eli's probably turning a blind eye to that, or just doesn't involve himself in it. Or maybe he's beating her too, who knows? But in any case, Mary is being abused by her family. The first time that Daniel does anything about it is Eli comes to Daniel and says, "Hey, I want you to introduce me when you open up the well, when we do the like blessing ceremony. I want to bless the well, and I want you to introduce me as like," what does he say? Like, a proud son of these hills who tended his fox, whatever.
Yeah, he comes, sits down, or like he
just big worm energy.
Yeah, big time worm energy. And it's kind of comical at first, because at first you think he's just gonna say, "I want you just to introduce me," blah blah, like it's short and sweet, and then it just keeps going.
Yeah, and Daniel's so fucking annoyed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he just like
after you walk up,
and he's like going along with it. I don't know how like.
But what's great is when the time comes for Daniel to do the blessing ceremony, he doesn't even acknowledge Eli is standing there. He grabs Mary and he involves her in the blessing ceremony. Then looks at Eli and says, "Mary here, a proud daughter of these hills," and says the thing that Eli wanted him to say about him. He says it about Mary. So like that's the first instance where Daniel's like, "Okay, I'm gonna fucking take a shine to this girl. Like, she's being abused. Let's start to pull the power away from this family a little bit." And then the other great scene is when he obviously buys like a dress for Mary at some point, and Mary's running around playing with HW, and he like grabs Mary while she runs past his table. Daniel's like, "Oh, you like the dress I bought you?" And what does he say? Like, "Your dad doesn't hit you anymore, does he?" No, he doesn't hit you anymore. And then the camera just immediately cuts over, and you can see that Abel, the dad, is sitting right there, and he's like side-eyeing Daniel, and Daniel just stares daggers at him. Like, "You better not fucking touch this girl anymore." Like, he is just taking the power away from him without having to say a word to him.
Yeah, I thought he was also like in the scene when he was supposed to, or Eli was supposed to do the blessings that we just said. He was taking the power away from Eli. He was kind of like saying,
absolutely.
I can bless this as just as good as you can.
I don't need you, right?
Exactly.
Daniel is obviously a fucking like atheist. Like he anytime someone asks him about religion, he gives them the most like,
he's noticeably doesn't care or uncomfortable that he has to go along with it. Right. His religion is money.
Yeah. So yeah, he always just like gives the most bland, like generic answer possible just to get away from it.
As much as I love seeing these little wormy Eli get owned, on the other side, I have to acknowledge that it's this massively titanic evil figure doing the owning. So it's like,
yeah, but fuck it, they're both evil. Let them kill each other, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh god. Okay, so oh man, now let's talk about the flaming eruption of the oil well and HW losing his hearing.
Yeah, well, I mean, so pretty much since the oil derrick that the whole community showed up for to once it got started, since it wasn't blessed in that scene prior, basically a few series of events start happening that kind of put the oil derrick might be a little cursed because it wasn't blessed.
Interesting. I never thought of that. You think because Eli didn't bless the oil well,
or just something to that extent, it didn't get the proper blessing.
I like this.
Well, right before you see
someone
HW,
dies.
There was a major accident where someone dies.
Horrible accident.
Yeah, very graphic. Yeah. And Daniel gets woken up in the middle of the night.
He's pissed, just fucking drunk out of his mind.
Yeah, that becomes increasingly clear as the movie progresses.
I mean, that's like one of the like you said, as the movie progresses. This is a guy who the first time we see him is hunched over in a mine deep beneath the earth. He probably sleeps up above the mine on the dirt. He breaks his leg. He's got this terrible limp in the beginning because he breaks his leg. This is a guy who throughout the movie, we never see him like sleep in a comfy bed. Like anytime he's sleeping, he's like passed out on the fucking floor. You know what I mean? This is a guy who he can't get to that level because he's so ingrained in what he's done in his life, to where at the end of the movie, when he's bent over, limping again, passed out in the bowling room, like he's right back where he started. Anyways, so he gets woken up because someone dies in the oil well.
Yeah, and like you said, he's instantly drunk. And these scenes are so vital for me because I want to know how they respond to crises.
Yeah.
And someone just died in his derrick. And what does he do?
I mean, he's just like, all right, get a tent going. Like,
yeah, get a tent going. We start at midday.
Right. Yeah, we'll take half a day off.
Half a day off. You're right back at it.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know how much it has to do with the fact that he's already seen death and he knows how dangerous it is. But at the same time, it's so cold.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then the
next day.
Said, so the next day. Or whenever X amount, it's the next thing we're shown is daylight.
Yes. And so the first thing we see is gas erupting out of the earth. That like they hit some kind of gas line or not like a gas line, but they hit some sort of gas pocket and gas like spews out of the oil derrick. And then oil starts erupting out of the oil derrick, right?
Yeah, oil and gas.
Explosion, like HW sitting right there. This explosion hits HW, loses his hearing immediately. He's deaf.
See, this is because, we are shown little glimpses of him being a father, but I think it seems like this where you can see how blatantly bad he was at being a father.
I think this scene highlights how complicated I feel about him. This scene doesn't do anything for me in terms of saying like, oh, look how bad he is. Because this scene, the first thing he does is he goes and he gets his son, right? Like he finds out his son is right there and he runs in there. He gets completely drenched, covered in oil because oil starts spewing up out of the ground. And him and his friend, is it Kieran Hines or is it just like another helper? They go to like get HW off that roof.
I think it is Kieran Hines.
Okay. It's whatever. It's one of his men. And they get HW and Daniel's holding HW like a baby, like he's cradling, he's holding his head and he sprints back to their cabin and he immediately is like, tell me where it hurts. Like he is concerned immediately. Now the complication comes from as soon as he kind of figures like nothing is internally wrong with him right now. Okay, I got to go take care of this well, which I get. I also get that because his well is now like exploding.
Well, sure, other people can die and that's dangerous situation. He's got to go take care of that situation.
Exactly. So I am a little bit like, but I think that this is one of the, as far as him being a good father, this is like one of the best moments of him for the whole movie.
You know me. And my first thing I'm thinking is, what is he doing letting his kid sit up there?
Well, I guess so, sure.
Like, be a parent.
Okay. it was the 1900s. Like the scene where the doctor comes in to check on him and they fucking like wrestle him down to the ground like he's a wild animal. Like they don't need to do that, but it's like the 1900s. People don't know what the fuck they're doing. He just needed to check his ears and they fucking put him in a sleeper hold. Like,
no, I feel like because that's more of apparent than this. Him just letting him play above the dangerous oil derrick.
I guess. I don't know.
Because after he wrestles him down, he like kisses him, hugs him, and it just yeah. I
and then you get that amazing shot of them. I think the next day where he's like big spooning him and he's like cuddling his hair. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and HW is just making noises, and he's like, "That's enough now. That's enough now." You know, and he does try. Like I don't. We'll cover the whole HW thing.
Well, because now that he's deaf. Go ahead. We'll get to that scene then.
Well, yeah. So HW is deaf. The oil erupts in flames. How does that happen? I don't know.
Just that happens.
It happens. I never
mechanics.
Something lights the oil, and like literally it is a like stream of fire from the depths of hell is shooting out of the earth into the sky. It's one of the most it's definitely the most incredible looking thing in this entire movie.
Yeah, and like just like the frogs in Magnolia or other things, this is something that always happens. Like I know for a fact, like a lot of Middle Eastern countries, when they didn't want foreign powers to take the oil, they would just set them on fire.
Okay, have you ever seen the movie Sorcerer? William Friedkin. It's from like the 70s, starring Roy Scheider.
Sounds great.
Okay, we'll probably end up doing William Friedkin at some point. The entire plot of Sorcerer is this happens, an oil well like erupts in flames, and they need to bring dynamite to the oil well to blow it up. But the plot of the movie is that like the dynamite is shitty and wet, and if they hit a bump, it'll explode. And it's like 4 trucks trying to drive dynamite through the jungle. It's fucking incredible. It's the best movie ever made. Anyways, like, yeah, this is obviously something that can happen. Is like your fucking oil rig just explodes and is just shooting flames in the air, and they do end up just having to blow it up to stop it, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But again, one of the best shots in the movie is you get this fucking like heavenly, or you know what, I would say like infernal hell look of flames shooting out of the ground. It is sort of magical looking. And then you cut to Daniel standing next to his guy, and he says like, "What are you looking so miserable for? We've got an ocean of oil under our feet." Like he is not at all fazed by this. He's just happy. And he's, again, I think this is a really good shot because it's nighttime and their faces are being lit by the fire. And his guy is standing off to like the left side of the screen, and he is lit. His I don't know if it's Kieran Hines or whatever, but whoever the guy is, he's lit pretty well. And Daniel is completely covered head to toe in oil, and you can only see like his face emerging from the blackness from behind him, and he's like so geeked about all this oil. It's such a weird image.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely gorgeous because it's a giant tower of flame on a stark black night. It's and incredible. that alone is great. But yeah, there's some big time symbolism going on there that I get, at least, because Kieran Hines, aka the King Beyond the Wall, cares about
what is that a reference to?
Game of Thrones.
Is that a Game of Thrones thing? Okay. All right.
That is.
Totally. The King Beyond the Wall. Absolutely. I did not know Kieran Hines was in Game of Thrones.
He's incredible in it because the whole show is.
Well, he's bad in Justice League. All right, let's keep moving.
Okay. But yeah, you see it, and because Daniel Plainview is covered in black and Kieran Hines is, like you said, illuminated or white or just not dirty, clean. It is like a light and dark. And you see that mimicked by their dialogue, because what is Kieran Hines' first thing he does? He asks about HW, where Daniel Plainview's first thing he says is about the oil. One person cares about HW. One person cares about the money. And
I do love
it. It sucks that it's not flip-flop for HW's sake, but
that interaction's great because he says, "Is HW okay?" And he says, "No, he isn't." What a fucking no, he isn't. He says it in such a mechanical way.
Yeah, it's cold.
But then we do see, God, it's so complicated. We can't dive into him. This it's going to take us a whole 3 hours just to talk about is he a good person or not?
Well, it's clear that he's not.
No, he's not. Right. Okay, so the next scene, which fucking rules and kicks so much ass, is also a scene that kicks off Paul Thomas Anderson's explanation for what this movie is, which he refers to this movie as a boxing match. which is interesting. And when you dive into it a little bit more, he says that round one is Eli getting his face like pummeled into the mud after he asks Daniel for the money.
Okay. Yeah. This is that scene we're coming to?
Yes, because immediately after his son goes deaf, Eli comes to him and is like, where's the money you promised us?
Right.
He asks him at the exact wrong fucking time because he's obviously so... This is when Daniel starts to become unhinged because things are happening that are out of his control that he doesn't really know how to deal with, which he has never had to deal with before, which is his son loses his hearing. And he's like, well, fuck, how do I be a father to this kid? I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm alone. And, you know,
he couldn't before. So how am I going to do it now?
I mean, honestly, yeah. So Eli comes, asks for the money, and Daniel just unleashes hell upon him.
When do we get our money, Daniel?
Aren't you a healer? And a vessel for the Holy Spirit? When are you coming over and make my son hear again? Can't you do that?
Let me bless the well. This happened. Daniel, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you owe the Church of the Third Revelation $5,000. One of the arrangements that we made.
Don't even try it. Right. Splash around in here. That's it, that's it. That's it. I'm gonna bury you underground, right? Oh! I'm gonna bury you underground.
I love that Daniel slaps him in the face like several times. There's no like punching in this movie.
No, it's all slaps.
It's all open hand slaps.
It's all degrading, demeaning.
It's so humiliating. He like drags him into the puddle of oil and like is smashing his face into the oil and like putting mud in his hair, and he says, I'm gonna bury you underground. Like he just destroys Eli in this scene. It's so fucking great.
It's brutal. And what do you get from Paul Dano but these little wormy screams,
these high-pitched shrieks? Paul Dano has no ego about him. He is not worried about looking cool in this movie at all.
You know
what, we actually might have skipped over the first time that we see him preaching, because I think that happens before all of this.
Yeah,
this is the scene where he goes to get the arthritis out of the woman's hands, and he says, "Get out of here, ghost!" and like throws the devil out of the
church.
Yeah, hell of a show. Oh god, I do love the. I think the set design of Eli's church is kind of iconic. It's such a simple like wood church, and the gleaming white crucifix that is like a hole in the wall where the light is coming through. I think that's such a good set design.
Yeah, it's quaint.
I mean, it's quaint, but it's also like, I don't know, it's super evocative because it's so simple that you're just like, and the only thing you can see on that back wall is like this hole in the shape of a cross, and just bright white light is shooting through it the whole time. I think it's great.
It's so always crazy for me to watch like scenes like this, because you know, I try to put myself in the mind of these characters, and it's like
don't do it in this movie.
Don't
do it in this movie.
No, this is a movie you want to stay out of their heads.
Yeah, but yeah, Dano goes. This is Dano's like award-winning scene. This is the scene that he should have won an Oscar for. Is him throwing Satan out of the church.
Get out of here, ghost. Get out of here, ghost. Get out. Get out of here, ghost. Get out of here. Don't you dare turn around and come back. For if you do, all the armies of my boots will kick you in the teeth. And you will be cast up and thrown in the dirt and thrust back to perdition.
tradition. And as long as I have teeth, I will bite you. And if I have no teeth, I will gum you. And as long as I have fish, I will bash you. Now get out of here, Ghost. Get out of here, Ghost. Get out of here, Ghost. And it left.
Because he just goes to 10. He goes to 10. It's so crazy.
Yeah,
at the end where he's like, get out of here. He's like he sounds like Schmeagol. Like he's so insane.
Well, he whispers it out too.
He starts by like whispering it into her hands.
Just gonna whisper it out.
Yeah.
Or it's just
and
like,
then he takes it straight up. It's so good. Such a good escalation.
Excellent.
So that's the first time. So then Daniel just fucking owns him in the mud, destroys Eli, and then you cut to Eli sitting at his family's dinner table, and he's still covered in mud, like he hasn't washed himself. And this is when he screams and attacks. He screams at and attacks his father for selling the land.
You stupid man.
You're a stupid father to a stupid son.
Wow.
Yeah, Paul Dano, man, he came to play in this movie.
Yeah. It's pretty. It's a heated moment. I love the fact that he's still in the mud later on at dinner. He didn't bother to clean any of it because he's
covered.
He just feels like he deserves to be covered in mud.
Ooh, yeah, maybe
because he calls himself stupid. You're a stupid father to a stupid son. He knows.
I think he was saying Paul is stupid. Because Paul is the one who told Daniel where the money was. Because he says in the scene, because in the scene he says Paul knew that you would be so stupid as to sell this money, so he took that information to Daniel, and that's why Paul brought Daniel here. So you're a stupid father to a stupid son. I don't think Eli is too megalomaniacal to admit that he is stupid.
Right. Okay.
I don't think he would ever stoop that low to say like I made a mistake. Neither of them are like that, Daniel or Eli.
Yeah, I that's twice then I missed that line about him talking about.
Well,
Paul.
To be fair to you, I have seen this movie 1 trillion times. So I got this one in the bag.
Shoot, yeah, that's twice I missed that line, and that's like those are. That's
pretty important.
It's like the only line that says that there's a twin.
If you miss that line, I can understand you thinking that this is some sort of M. Night Shyamalan-esque twist. Like but no, it's all in there. It's just everything in this movie is so sparse.
Is that my fault for going in super blind, or is that my fault for having bad hearing?
I would blame it on your hearing.
Okay. Maybe I was just so enthralled with what I was watching. Seeing a man sit at the table in mud, I was like, "What is going on?"
Incredible. Yeah, you just cut to that close up of him just covered. It's great. Another thing I want to talk about really quick before we move away from this sort of this is the climax in the middle of the movie, and the music. So this is Johnny Greenwood doing the score for this. I think he's the guitarist for Radiohead. This is his first score. He's scored every Paul Thomas Anderson movie since this movie. He's also scored a couple Lynn Ramsey movies. He's a fucking incredible composer, and somehow he just keeps getting better and better. I'm not a big Radiohead guy. You ever get into Radiohead?
No.
Yeah, like a lot of my friends treat Radiohead like they're the second coming of Christ, and I just never. I mean, I like them a lot. I just never got super into them, but I don't really know how they met. But Paul Thomas Anderson picks up Johnny Greenwood to do the score for this movie, and the score for this movie is one of those reasons that I was so taken aback the first time I saw this and was like, what? Because the score that kicks in when Daniel's running away from the oil derrick with HW in his arms is so weird and percussive and like off tempo and discordant and strange. It's like, oh my God, what is this fucking score? I never heard anything like it.
I agree, because a lot of times the score is like, it feels out of place, but at the same time, because it's there the entire time, it makes sense.
It's a really good score. It's a really good score. I might even say this. I think it's Johnny Greenwood's worst score. Even though I think the score is fucking incredible.
Well, because it kind of gives me like horror movie vibes.
Yeah, I kind of from those like rising strings in that opening shot, but like he doesn't really go back to that except for one time, and it's less that it's horror movie and more that it's like incredibly unnerving. Is
Sure.
the score?
Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah,
and
because
I mean I love this score. I just think Johnny Greenwood has gotten better and better every time he makes a score, and like the score for Phantom Thread it sounds like nothing you've ever heard before, and I can't wait to talk about it, but we'll get there.
I know that's actually the perfect word, unnerving, because it's not that it's tough. This whole movie, there's so much going on, and then with those strings, they're kind of,
they set you on edge.
Yeah, well, like that time when he's running with his son in his arms, he speeds it up, and it's like, it's going very fast.
Yep. Yeah, and like different percussive instruments are like coming in and dropping out at the same time. It's such a weird fucking scene. Like the score for that scene is so strange. Anyways, we can move away from this climax now because we've sort of gotten to it. But the fallout of this climax is, oh God, okay. So HW is now deaf. Daniel Day-Lewis is trying. He to his credit, at first, he does try. No, here's the thing is I think Paul Thomas Anderson knew exactly what he was doing this whole movie, because every time Daniel slips up as a father, it is in reaction to something where you're like, okay, I kind of get it. I actually do. It's not like he's doing it because he's fed up or because he is just at a loss. The reason he ends up sending HW away is because HW lights his cabin on fire.
Yeah, I mean, see, right, why did he do it? Because there's a clear fuel path to the bed.
Okay.
Oh, we actually missed talking about
Henry.
Yeah.
Because we had to, right around this time, Henry enters the movie. And let me just say this. There are a lot of things that we're going to talk about on The Master, that our next episode, that mystify me and kind of defy logic as far as filmmaking goes. And it doesn't really make sense to put in a movie, but it somehow worms its way into your brain and it like works. Henry is a prime example of that. You've got this incredible movie between this preacher and this oil baron going toe to toe with each other over the land and over their egos and money and all the religion, literally God, whatever. All this crazy stuff is happening in this movie. And then just out of nowhere, Paul Thomas Anderson's like, it'd be kind of cool if we took a detour and like introduced a fake brother element for like fucking 20 minutes of this movie. It defies all logic to put this character in the movie.
Yeah, and they're not small scenes. Like these are meaty scenes. You get a lot.
Yep.
You learn a lot about Daniel
through Henry
these scenes. Yeah.
So this character Henry shows up. He looks a lot like Daniel Plainview. He's tall. He's lanky.
Jacked up teeth.
Yeah. He's tall. He's lanky. He's got the big push broom mustache.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, the sun is coming down. Obviously, there's a gazillion gorgeous shots, but there's this slow, almost like Hard 8, where you see him walk up at the beginning of the diner. Well, here the camera's behind Daniel, and he's walking up to his house after a day's work, and there's just this man standing outside his house.
He's claiming that he's Daniel's brother from another.
And as Daniel does with every single interaction, he very calmly assesses the situation. He just asks him what his purpose is, he
asks him for like identification and the letters.
Yeah.
And the guy like pulls out the receipts. Now, obviously this is a time where you can easily, commit fraud. Like there's no computers to track this shit. So like, whatever. But yeah, Daniel's in a very sensitive spot. So he sort of lets his guard down, and this guy claims to be his brother from another mother, which
and he does say
because like what a crazy line to put in this movie.
Yeah.
This is not the kind of movie when a character says, I'm your brother from another mother. It's just not, you don't expect to hear that from a movie set in the fucking turn of the century.
Directed by Paul Thomas Anderson.
Right. Yeah, I would have expected that in Boogie Nights, not here.
But he does use some like a little bit of personal information to gain his trust.
Yeah. He knows.
We find out later
he has the actual brother's diary.
Right.
So
that's what we find out later. But in the meantime, I love that part where he asks him like, what's your plan? Be direct. First you said you didn't want anything. Now you're saying you want to like, I just love that whole exchange. That was really cool.
Yeah,
and
it's good.
The result of it is he ends up letting him stay with him and gives him a job.
Yep.
So Henry, quote unquote, his brother, now works with him.
This character is such a strange introduction to the movie, and it takes a long time for him to leave the movie too. He does not like come in and out for a scene, like you said. He has a pretty good chunk of the movie, and they spend a lot of time on their relationship instead of like. There's so many things you don't expect this at all. You don't expect them to drop a fake brother in the movie at the after the climax of the middle of the movie, and the fact that he has important roles alongside Daniel as a businessman. He has like scenes where they're reminiscing about their childhood, even though he's making it all up. Like he has like actual stakes in this movie, which
culminates in what there's they, like you said, they're talking about their childhood and what gives it away.
Okay, so first we got to talk about. Well, we don't have to talk about it. We already talked about it. But like HW rifles through this guy's stuff and finds the dude's journal, and that's why he lights his bed on fire. HW figures out, I think, that he's a phony, so he like sets like a line of fuel from his bed to the door, and he lights it on fire, and that is what causes Daniel to send HW away.
That's why because I was wondering why
there's a scene right before, literally the scene before he lights everything on fire. HW is like reading the diary. So he's obviously found out that this guy's a phony, or at least he found this diary. And maybe I don't know, maybe he felt threatened.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going with it. Like he just,
he's lashing out.
He barely has any love and affection or time from his dad as it is, and now a new person's coming in.
A brother. That's probably more realistic, honestly. So yeah, and then you get the incredible scene of Daniel abandoning him on the train, which is crazy.
Gut-wrenching.
It is gut-wrenching for HW, obviously, but it's a little gut-wrenching for Daniel. Like he's not playing this off as like, whatever, just got to get rid of my kid. Like he does seem like pretty taxed by this whole thing.
Well,
and that's the complication. Is like you almost wish he was being less. You almost wish that he was being even more careless. But he does display some sadness during this scene, and like because it comes out of HW lighting the cabin on fire, you do kind of understand like, oh, fuck, okay, maybe it is a good idea to send him to like a tutor, like to live with this person who can teach him sign language or something. Like
sure, or just I don't know, he could just try to be a better parent. I don't know.
Yeah, obviously, yes, he's bad. He's bad. I agree. We're on the same side. I'm just saying Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't make it easy for the audience to just immediately be like, oh yeah, he's bad. There are moments where you're like, fuck, I kind of get it, but yeah, it sucks. And the shit comes back to haunt him.
I don't know. It's like he's reaping what he sowed. If he was a better father, he wouldn't have had to send him away. If he wouldn't have had a kid that's setting fires,
Well, okay. I mean, all right.
If there's any way to paint this guy not as evil, I haven't found it.
No. I agree with you. I'm just saying, at no point does Paul Thomas Anderson only paint him as evil.
No, he likes to mess with me. He likes to mess with my mind a little bit. Because he will show snippets of wholesomeness. And like even at the we'll get to it, but
so yeah, he sends him away. It fucking sucks. It's really sad. Now, I don't remember exactly when in the movie Henry gets killed, but it's before according to Paul Thomas Anderson, Eli and Daniel's second round of combat. So we can kind of tie a bow. So he goes to meet with these there's a subplot where like he's trying to sell the land that he's dug up to other oil companies, or he might be trying to like build a pipeline to avoid shipping costs. There's all this like, economic nonsense going on in the background of this movie that you keep revisiting.
Yeah. The only thing I think you're supposed to know is that whatever makes him the most money, he's going to do it.
Yeah. Well, he goes, this is when you start to see like more of him starting to fray at the edges. He takes Henry and he goes to meet with these other oil companies to sell his land or his oil derricks. I'm not really sure what it is. And the guy keeps mentioning HW sort of offhandedly. He's like, oh, you can sell this and you can take care of your son. And Daniel, being the psycho that he is like, I'm going to find you where you sleep and I'm going to slit your throat. Don't tell me about my son. Like he's like, oh, you want to mention my son, huh? Well, fuck you. I'm going to kill you in your sleep.
Yeah, so I have a theory about this. So Daniel's whole, like, he has this image of being this badass, like power figure, and I feel like whenever it's brought up about his son, and his son's like not weakness, but his disability.
Yeah.
It like forces him to think about it, which forces him to think about his own weaknesses.
Yeah.
And that's why he gets sent over the edge, because the one thing that Daniel doesn't like is to be called out or pointed out about flaws.
Yeah, I mean, he has this scene where he talks to Henry about how he has a competitiveness in him and he doesn't like other people. I mean, this scene between him and Henry, where Henry is asking him about like his own mother, and Daniel's saying like, he's like, I don't often see values in other people worth liking, or something like that. He says some very misanthropic things that I'm like, 14-year-old me was like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude, fuck people. Society sucks. But Henry asks him, this is a crazy scene where Henry asks him about I don't know if he asked him about his mother or if he asks him about HW's mother, but Daniel Day-Lewis, the greatest actor of all time, he just says, I don't like to talk about those things. And then he like snarls his teeth at the camera for a second before going on. Like so much rage is like, maybe not simmering. Rage, but yeah, there's something simmering where he's like, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Where's his mother?
I don't want to talk about those things. I see the worst in people, Henry. I don't need to look past seeing them to get all I need. I've built up my hatreds over the years, little by little. Having you here gives me a second breath. I can't keep doing this on my own. With these people.
Well, actually, you just brought up just listening to you talk there, when he points out that he doesn't like other people.
Yeah.
That other man who he was trying to make a deal with offered a very human, genuine moment and talked about his son. Was he also trying to pull the wool over his eyes and he didn't like that also?
Maybe, yeah.
Sure. You're right. It's just so layered.
Yeah, there's so many layers. Like every relationship that gets added into the movie is like, okay, now we got to sift through this too to get to the next. Yeah, it's a lot. So, okay, so let's talk about how he kills Henry. So they're sitting on the beach, they're swimming together, and Daniel says something like, we'll get drunk and go pick up girls at like what is it called? Like the Peachtree Festival or something like that?
Yeah, it's like the Peachtree Festival.
Yeah, something weird. Yeah. And Henry doesn't really react to this. And that is enough for him to be like, okay, fuck this guy. He's a fraud. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. And then he puts it to the test later. And he's like, what's the name of the house next to the Hill Mansion or whatever, or the farm next to the Hill House? And the guy can't answer the question. I like that Henry, instead of saying, I don't know, he just says, I'll just go, Daniel. I'll just leave. Like, he immediately knows he's caught.
Well, yeah. And at this point, he has a gun to his head.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't yet? I thought he wakes up with it.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, he does wake up to it.
He wakes up with a gun in his face.
Yeah. But I don't know.
At that point, I was like, yeah, can I go? Like, anything I can do to just get me out of here.
Yeah. I just love that instead of like being kind of cowardly or anything like that, Henry's immediate reaction, instead of saying I don't know or listen or trying to explain, he just says I'll just leave. Like that's his only card he has to play. It's like I'll just leave. And the suddenness with which Daniel kills Henry is so startling, and his death is so unlike anything you've seen. Any other movie, you see a character. Oh my god! So what he does is he puts his hand over Henry's face and immediately puts the gun to his head and pulls the trigger. Right? Any other movie, brain splatter, the character's dead. Right?
Yeah.
That's not what happens here.
No.
First he shoots him. The bullet, he gets shot in the head. Henry lets out this weird like shriek of pain, and then like kind of writhes around and moans for a couple seconds before he dies, which is so scary. He got shot in the fucking head and like lived for like a couple seconds.
I feel like that's Paul Thomas Anderson making it as accurate as possible, because you see how small this little pea shooter gun is.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't that powerful. So
his weird shriek is so scary.
Ugh.
I'll never get that sound out of my head.
Because he was making the noises and moving a little bit for a brief second, I was like, oh, he's still alive.
Exactly.
And then
he dies a couple seconds later.
Well, yeah, but I was like, oh, he's actually just going to be like, I don't know. I just thought he was going
to. You think he's going to have some like, some like Quasimodo like following him around, carrying his stuff for him?
No, I mean this is
Game of Thrones. Hodor.
It's Hodor.
I want some of it. I know some of the characters.
Yeah. Do you know why he's called Hodor though?
His mother named him that.
It would blow your mind if you found out. But anyway, yeah, because you see this character not really die, I was like, oh my God, he's still alive. And I just thought like he's going to finish him a different way or something. Yeah. But no, it's literally right after that, he puts him in like it's like a watery grave.
No, I don't think that's what it is. I think that this next scene is his burial is so metaphorical and intense. It's
oil.
I think it's oil. I think he buries him in a oily grave, which this whole scene is so cool because, well, not cool. It's not cool. It's not cool like Fast and the Furious.
Easy.
So
cool when he died.
It's fucking so cool when Daniel's humanity erodes in front of our eyes. No, but it's really beautiful when he kills Henry. And then the next thing he has to do is go all the way back to basics. He picks up his pickaxe, he picks up his shovel, and he has to start digging like he did all the way back in the early days. He has to do the thing that he starts to break loose the earth and he starts to dig the hole. And I think that is oil in there because like they said, like the oil is very close and it like seeps to the surface near this area. So I think he literally buries him in like a shallow, oily grave.
Oh, because he does wake up with Bandy.
Right, yeah.
So
this is where we meet Bandy.
Yeah, so yeah, and that it would match the area where the oil was near the top. So yeah, that does make sense. Twisted because I mean it's just
because of everything that's going on in the movie.
Yeah, and it's just live and die. You see one kid birthed with oil and another man die with oil, and it's just and countless die from oil procedures in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point the score is actually like, it's just, you hear it in the background throughout the whole movie, and it just creates, the unnerving works. It's suspenseful. It's like beautifully suspenseful.
It is very pretty, yeah.
Because that sometimes it does give like, I don't know, it's great. It nails it, matches the feel perfectly.
All right, let's get through this. So Bandy is sitting there waiting for him when he wakes up. He says like, hey, I'll sell you my land if you get baptized. And of course, Daniel immediately goes into bullshit mode, like, oh, I've already been baptized, and Bandy's just like, yeah, we're going to take you to the church and get baptized. And this is, according to Paul Thomas Anderson, this is round 2 of their boxing match.
Say it.
I abandoned my child.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
I've abandoned my child. I've abandoned my child. I've abandoned my boy.
Beg for the blood.
Give me the blood, Eli. Let me get out of here. Give me the blood, Lord, and let me get away.
Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior?
Yes, I do.
Get out of here, devil! Out, devil! Out, sin! Do you accept the Church of the Third Revelation as your spiritual guide? Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here! Do you accept Jesus Christ as your Savior?
Yes, I do.
Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the power in the blood. Would you or evil the victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood.
So he goes to church, and is this the best scene in the movie?
I think this is the one that they showed during the Oscars for
right. This is what wins him the Oscar this year.
Yeah.
So this scene is, you get the scene earlier where Paul Dano is like dragged through the mud and beaten by, he's humiliated by Daniel. Now this is a reverse of that. This is Paul Dano in his element, not in the mud, or not in the oil of Daniel Plainview, but in the church of Eli Sunday. This is him in his element, and he gets to take back the power a little bit, and he wins round 2 here. He's baptizing Daniel Plainview, and he gets to humiliate him in front of everyone. he tells him to, I abandoned my child. And like, I think, oh my God, Daniel Day-Lewis is so good in this scene. It's crazy because he is being very snarky. Like while Daniel's doing while Eli's doing his thing, he's being very snarky.
Yeah, he's doing he's, like, what he has to do.
And then as soon as Dano mentions you abandon your child, oh my God, Daniel Day-Lewis's face in this scene is crazy. He like looks up at him. But then he breaks and he's like, I got to do this. And yeah, Paul Dano is smacking him in the face over and over. And Daniel Day-Lewis is getting like hyped up from it. And he's like, yeah, where's your God now, Eli? And like, he's getting like pumped up from it. And then right at the end, he says something like, he says like, that's a pipeline. What does he say like right after he gets like the shit kicked out of him by Eli?
Yeah,
he lets Eli slap the shit out of him. Like the last thing he says is like, worth it for the pipeline or something. Like he says something about the oil.
Something about the pipeline.
Which is great.
It's his entire reason for doing any of that.
Yep. So I mean, this scene's fucking crazy. I just like, this is Daniel Day-Lewis's masterclass is him screaming, acting. I abandoned my child. Because there's also a switch because he says I abandoned my child because Paul Dano says that he has to say it in order to get the baptism. But then like the next time he says it, he says I abandoned my boy, which I feel like is him actually saying it instead of just mimicking it. It's him actually admitting to himself the guilt, because him saying my boy is like a little bit more emotional than my child.
Yeah.
And he wasn't prompted to say that.
There's a little glimpse where you saw like that he actually kicked. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. All right. So let's speed around a couple things. Because I'm tired. No. So HW ends up coming back, and he slaps. Daniel in the face.
I love this scene because right off, like you see him walk up, HW and these two people, whatever, guardians, whatever, and it's patented Paul Thomas Anderson, the longest take ever.
Such a long tracking shot.
Such a long track where you see him walk up.
It's crazy because he goes so far into the background, and then him and HW come all the way back into the foreground, but like in a different location.
It's incredible. This whole shot is just breathtaking. And the first thing you see is HW walk up and just start hitting his dad because he's so mad, like any person would be.
Yep.
I just love HW here because he knows.
Good. Dude, the kid who plays HW is good in this movie.
Yeah, well, I wanted to point out because there's an outtake, which there's not a lot of outtakes.
I would imagine there probably isn't
with Daniel Day-Lewis, right. But it's like, of course, it's like 3 minutes, and the scene is actually money as can be. And then right at the very end, Daniel Day-Lewis, I think he says like cut or something, and the kid starts laughing. It's the showdown in the diner when he gets 2 steaks, a whiskey, and a goat milk.
Goat milk. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you because it's pretty funny. It's on YouTube. Because you don't see Daniel Day-Lewis like cracking and like.
No, I can't imagine. Like, I feel like when someone yells "cut" while Daniel Day-Lewis is filming, he just like ignores that that's a thing that happens in reality, and he just continues to live as the character.
I know, that's what I thought too, and it's crazy because right after he breaks into a big smile and and the kid starts laughing, and it's just awesome to see, and especially with him trying to portray Daniel freaking Plainview.
Yeah,
like it's like, oh, good, it's actually. But it's
I want to give a shout out to this kid, Dylan Frazier is his name, who plays HW. He's so good in this movie.
Yeah.
Other movies he was in are none. This is the only movie he's ever been in.
Wow.
Crazy. One and done for him. He's like, I did it.
Well,
I made the best movie of all time. I don't need to do this job
anymore. I think it takes 2 seconds of looking at freaking Daniel Day-Lewis and be like, I'm not cut out for this. Because
maybe.
Like, it's the most intimidating. Like, I'm not ever gonna be. It's like seeing like you're playing a scrimmage game with Jordan in his prime, and you're seeing, okay, like I'll never even sniff this talent.
Right. Yeah, you're not gonna even come close.
So I need to find a different field that I can excel at.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but I just want to call out that because literally it's this outtake is like almost 3 minutes long, and it's over 2 minutes of masterclass acting that just didn't get used. And I'm like, where's the outtake? This is incredible.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, you see it, and it's like, okay.
Of course. So there's a couple scenes here, like HW now has like a translator or not a translator, but a guy who's teaching him sign language.
Yes.
And he starts to like talk to Mary. Like you can see he has some like one-off, like a little friendship that he's starting to build with Mary. Daniel is really starting to crack. He brings HW to this bar, which, I mean, this is the actual scene that we're talking about, not the outtake, but he goes over to the other oil guys and he's like, you must feel like a fool or whatever like that. And he's all drunk and it's not good, you know, like you could see that like he is fully broken now.
Yeah. Just another, every scene is just incredible watching Daniel Day-Lewis act. But here you do see him become like, he's just becoming a nastier person. Like he has no more business with those other gentlemen, but yet he's just a nasty person. He comes over, he drinks one of their shots.
Yeah.
I do want to point out after that he walks away, all three gentlemen still did shots. It's little.
They're all still there. They don't leave. It's just funny.
Well, no, his shot's gone.
One of them.
All three cheersed and did a shot.
Way to fucking go, Paul Thomas Anderson. What a shitty movie you made.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. He just drank his shot. Why is he cheers and doing a shot?
Yes, but this is like,
yeah. Well, I had two qualms about the movie. That was that micro thing.
Okay.
And then this is just, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't particularly like it. It's to each your own. It's when the director uses the camera and like something will get splashed up onto the camera.
Oh, you don't like that?
I don't like that. That reminds me that I'm watching it through a camera.
Oh, okay. What part are you talking about?
It was actually a few different times where the oil.
That is a weird hang up. I actually get it. Like when you say it like that, I do understand it.
It's like, oh, I'm watching a movie. What? I'm in the moment, and then all of a sudden oil gets splashed onto the camera. It's like, oh, I'm actually a viewer watching a movie. I don't know, but it's very minor. And there's actually, I think it was the first time when a little bit of dirt got kicked onto the camera when he falls from the ladder. It was so subtle that it worked, and it gave me a feeling. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, sure. Okay. There's this breakdown that he has at the bar, and then you get to see HW. He's learning sign language from his tutor. He's hanging out with Mary. There's an insane jump cut that cuts 15 years to the future. It's just like every cut in this movie is like, okay, like 2 years here, 4 years here, 1 year here, 2 years here, and then just 15 years. We're gonna go right ahead and just jump way forward to see HW getting married as a grown man. Him and Mary are getting married.
Love it.
I
everything about
so
this.
Much. I think it's beautiful. I love that she's translating into sign language for him at the altar. I love that. They're so integrated. They're such a good couple.
It shows you again why Daniel Plainview is a terrible person and terrible father. Example number 755.
Okay.
He knows that his son is deaf. We all know this. He knows this. He still talks to him like he can hear.
Okay. I mean, there's like a two-pronged climax at the end of this movie. One of them is his final confrontation with his son. The other is his final confrontation with Eli. Let's fucking talk about it.
But even before that, as a kid, he's still vocalizing.
Yeah, no, he never. Right, exactly.
There's one instance where he like mouths eating.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah,
he still treats him like he can hear.
But then there's also that scene where the one guy comes up to them at the dinner table and he like yells at HW and he's like, you don't have to shout. So he does get it. I don't know. He's so complicated.
But I don't know.
But you're right. He doesn't ever take the initiative to learn sign language.
Yeah, it's like you don't have to shout. He's not going to hear you regardless. Like,
right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, I hated it. I'm like, God, you're such a terrible father.
Okay.
You know he can't hear and you're still talking to him like he can hear you. And it's just he never makes a change.
Okay. So let's talk about the final conflict with his son. So he's now living in a huge mansion in like a forest. He's like shooting shit in his house with a gun. He's drunk out of his mind.
Yeah, how do you know you have a big house? When you shoot across it and you use a telescope to see where you hit. Jeez, that's how big of the house it was.
So what is he? He gets the fucking deal to like lay the pipeline down or whatever, and now he's just set for life. He has so much money. So he's got this house that he's living in. There's a butler that lives with him, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Something like that. Whatever.
A few different caretakers.
So HW shows up as a grown man. He's just married Mary, and he's coming to tell his dad that he's moving to Mexico to make his own company. Now, a lot of things happen in this scene, and they're all good, and I like all of them a lot. And I think this is a great scene, and one of the great scenes in the history of film.
Yeah, I mean, just line it up with the rest of the film. It's tough to watch, but you can't look away. It's
right. So HW is now, he's deaf. He brings his translator in, and they start to talk. Daniel is obviously drunk and really like despondent and mean and cold. And when he tells his father that he wants to start his own company, his first fucking reaction is, well, that makes you a competitor of mine.
Yeah. Instead of like wishing well or just anything it's instantly back to money, because that's all he cares about. And he views his son and like he trained him, and now he's a competitor that he has to beat. And it's brutal. Like instantly turns just as ruthless as it gets. He like makes fun of him because he can't, that he needs a translator.
He forces him to actually speak. He's like, if that's what you want to tell me, then you need to tell me with your own voice and not. I do love what he's like, don't use it. Your little dog. Woof, 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 woof. Talking to the translator.
Brutal.
So he actually, the actor who is he's an actual deaf actor. He has to speak in this scene, and he says, I'm taking Mary and we're moving to Mexico to get. I think he said to get away from you. So like you kind of do get that aspect of like he does also want to get away from his father, which is good. He deserves it.
Yeah, maybe.
There's also there's a brief moment in this scene that I wanted to highlight that I think is like beautiful and part of sort of what we've been talking a lot about with this movie, where you're never told this explicitly or implicitly. You're never told this at all. But the guy who is HW's sign language teacher in the beginning is also, I think it's the same guy. I think he like keeps him on as his like translator. Yeah. So he's the guy translating their conversation at the end. And Daniel, finally, the big reveal for HW, he tells him he's not his real dad. He found him, and he calls him a bastard in a basket.
You have none of me in you. You're just a bastard from a basket.
I thank God I have none of you in me.
Not my son. Just a little piece of competition. Bastard from a basket. Bastard from a basket. You're a bastard from a basket.
And the translator like begrudgingly translates for him. Then, oh my God, the scene is so good. HW is signing to his translator, who now has to speak out loud and translate to Daniel. And what he says is, I'm glad that you're not my real father. I'm glad that I don't have any of you in me. And when, like, in the middle of him signing, his translator starts to passionately nod, like, yes. Like, his translator is so on HW's side that, like, even though he's doing a job, and he has to translate,
love it.
He's very passionately like, yes, 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 say it. And like, then he gets
it's
beautiful. It's such a triumphant moment.
I love that, but it echoes the same thing that Kieran Hines probably felt, because everyone around Daniel's looking at him like he's doing a terrible job. And I feel like they've, in a sense, almost had to pick up the slack.
Yeah.
And I bet that's what the sign language, because he's been, like you said, for how long? And he's,
they're friends. So, that's the thing, is like you can tell that they care for each other.
Yeah.
Even though that's never shown on the movie. Beautiful.
No, and I just think that is echoed a few times with other people pointing out like, oh, you're bad,
Yeah. And then the final conflict of the movie is Eli shows up.
Yeah, the very next scene is the butler or whoever is walking with Eli around the house, and he comes into his own bowling alley.
Yeah, he's got a bowling alley in his house.
Yeah, because he's uber rich.
Yeah.
And it's like
he's passed out.
Yeah, he's passed out on the lanes, like with his head on the gutter rail.
Yeah. I mean, his head is literally in the gutter. It's the most symbolic thing you could think of.
Yeah. And it's just it looks like he was eating his meal on the lanes.
Yep.
Like, because why not? And
yeah.
Says, Mr. Plainview, we have a guest, and it's Eli rocking a full-grown cross now. So
he's looking like sharp. And you learn in this scene that Eli is like probably now like a televangelist, or he works in radio, and
Well, my natural assumption was, okay, so he's also done very well for himself.
Exactly. They are mirrors of each other. Yeah.
But then find out that Eli has not done well for himself.
Well, he has, but I mean, this is now set, I think, right around the time of the Great Depression. So like that is sort of in the background as well. So like now, he's got financial problems. So now he's coming in. But this is the part I wanted to talk about earlier, where we talked about Daniel promised to give the church a $5,000 bonus and never did.
Yeah, because he brings it up here.
Brought up here. He's like, I want you to pay me the $5,000 with interest. Like he's still holding on to hope that he'll get that money, never getting it. And this is just one of the great. This is just one of the great scenes for me. One of the great American scenes is Eli having to, and this is round 3, right? This is Paul Thomas Anderson's boxing analogy for his own movie. This is the final round.
So I wanted to talk about this because earlier in the movie, during round 2, he went to church because he was trying to get the bandy tract.
Yeah,
that's bandy wanted him to baptize, get rid of the sins.
Yeah.
Turns out he never got the bandy tract even after that.
No, he did,
because Eli's coming to him. Eli's coming to him.
If I'm understanding this entire ending correctly, Eli now is trying to sell him the bandy tract for him to drill oil into it, which he never did. He never wanted to drill oil into the bandy tract because he just wanted to lay that pipeline in there, right?
Yeah.
So now Eli's coming to him saying like, hey, I can give you...
Gotcha.
And he's so yeah, Eli thinks he has the upper hand. And I love the way that Daniel plays this, Daniel Day-Lewis plays this, because he's like, oh yeah, I'll work with you. Yeah, no, that sounds good. I think that's fair. He immediately agrees to all of Eli's terms and is like, yeah, sure. Like totally takes Eli's guard down. And he's like, all right, well, here's my stipulation. You have to say that you're a false prophet and that God is a superstition.
I am a false prophet. God is a superstition.
Eli, stop. Just imagine this is your church here, and you have a full congregation. So.
I am a false prophet. God is a superstition.
Say it again.
I am a false prophet. God is a superstition.
I can't hear you at the back.
I am a false prophet. God is a superstition.
Say it again.
I am a false prophet. God is a superstition.
Say it again.
I am a false prophet. God is a superstition.
Those areas have been drilled.
Again, 14-year-old James is just like, yeah, God's not real. Like, just fucking, yeah, dude, this rules.
And then he threw a hammer through a glass door.
No, that's not me. I moshed into a wall. I didn't actually mosh. I kicked a wall because I was mad about a girl. Anyway, so this scene's great. He forces, much like Eli forces him to say he abandoned his child, Daniel's now making Eli say that he's not a real priest, that God's fucking not real. And he makes him preach it like a fucking sermon.
Did you notice, like, before this all starts, Eli first thing he does, he goes over and makes not 1, not 2, but 3 drinks.
Oh, did you make 3 drinks? I thought he only had 2 drinks.
He made 3 drinks.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, he's obviously fucking not a bender.
And even after Daniel Plainview says, no, I don't want any, he still brings all 3 over.
Yeah.
So he's going to drink all 3.
He's not doing
Or that was the plan.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so they have this final showdown, and he forces him to say these things. Eli says them with conviction, and you can see him like he just feels terrible about it. And as soon as that's over, there's not even a beat. There's no dramatic pause. As soon as Eli is done saying that God is not real, he's just like, "Oh yeah, I drained that long ago. I don't need that.
There's nothing there."
Yeah,
like
nothing. Yeah. Drainage.
And then he goes into this amazing
milkshake.
Yeah, this amazing metaphor for the vast pool of oil that it was, and they both are using straws on a milkshake.
Yeah.
Or I drink your milkshake.
That land has been had. Nothing you can do about it. It's gone. It's had.
If you would just take this lease, Daniel.
Drainage, Eli, you boy. Drain dry. I'm so sorry. If you have a milkshake,
I have a straw. There it is. That's a straw, you see. Watching. And my straw reaches across the room and starts to drink your milkshake. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Don't bully me, Daniel.
I drink it up.
Drink it up. This is so good. This is
yeah,
so
no,
good.
this is just iconic.
It is
the
iconic.
acting.
It really is.
The acting is so. Oh God.
Yeah.
And then it keeps ratcheting it up even further, because at this point he's an old madman.
Yeah, really is. Yeah.
And he just chases him around the bowling alley.
Well, yeah, before that, the final salt in the wound for Eli is he finds out that he paid Paul the money so that he could have the land to drill like over into the neighbors. Yeah, if I own all of the land around you, I own everything beneath you too, because I can just fucking suck it out with drains.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's the sort of final, anyways. Yeah. And then he chases Eli around and fucking kills him with a bowling pin.
Chases him around. You don't know what he's doing. Like, you don't really know what's happening here until it happens. Because
there's no logical reason to think that this is what's going to happen.
Right. I mean, this is kind of like what Paul Thomas Anderson does with the ends of his movies. He like abrupt cuts, because the only thing you get is, so a murder just happens. He kills Eli.
Murder. Yeah, he kills him with a fucking bowling pin.
Like, he was down with the one hit, and then he
caves his head in.
Yeah, he makes sure, and it's just the blood's all over. It's a very visceral.
I like that the blood is really dark, and that it almost looks like oil coming out of Eli, which is like very appropriate.
It almost like an oil spill, because it's slowly just getting
dark,
bigger.
Yeah.
But
no, and then like Daniel's just sitting next to Eli's dead body. He's like slumped over, just out of breath. The butler comes down. Daniel just says, "I'm finished," and then the movie ends.
That's it.
What?
I know. Yeah, it's abrupt, but I think it's one of my notes. It's sudden but satisfying ending.
Oh, it's such a good ending
because there's nowhere for this character left to go. This is the lowest.
He's finished.
Yeah, and like he says, and that's why that line is great. But for me, it's that image of this hunched over, gangly, gnarly looking, like possessed almost Daniel Day-Lewis hopping around the bowling alley with this wooden pin.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a creepy visual.
Fully deteriorates. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great.
And yeah, like in the whole time that's happening, you get just these wormy squeals.
Oh yeah, Paul Dano just like, oh god, he's so
Well, because I was thinking, why isn't he defending himself? But even he doesn't know the lengths.
What's he gonna do?
But I don't know. He's an old man, but at the same time, you don't know.
No, I mean, like, what's fucking Paul Dano gonna do? Like, look at him. What's he gonna do? He can do nothing. He can do nothing. Yeah. Run where? Right. He tries to run. He tries to get out the door, and it's locked.
He tries. Yeah.
I do love that Daniel starts the whole like violent altercation by throwing bowling balls down the lane at him. It's I don't know. It's fun.
One of them gets him on the foot.
Yeah, it does.
He's like, ow.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Well, I mean, there it is. We talked about There Will Be Blood.
Yeah.
What a movie this is.
It's that was something.
Yeah. So let's rate it. Let's rate There Will Be Blood. Ready? 1, 2, 3. It's 5 stars.
5 stars.
The thing about this one, when I gave 5 stars to Punch Drunk Love, I was happy about it, and I was like, yeah, what a movie. We love it. 5 stars. But this one, it is sort of just like, yeah, it's a 5. Look at it. Look at this thing. It's undeniable.
Honestly, it's one of those movies where I didn't have a doubt that it was going to be 5 stars again upon my second, and it's because I can't look away from Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's one of the great performances, really. It's like a canonical performance.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's one of the best I've ever seen of any movie of any decade. It's just, if you want to know what acting looks like, watch this movie.
Yeah, this is a good place to start. Yeah. From his perspective and from Dano's perspective, I think they're both giving pretty masterful performances in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I guess that brings us to our next segment. Is there anything exciting coming on the horizon for you?
There always is. There's always movies coming, and I'm always excited. Now, I have, for whatever reason, taken to a fun game that I like to play every year where I pick a movie that's about to come out and I get overly excited about it, even though it's probably going to be stupid or it just seems silly to like it, or the name of the movie is just funny to me. So in 2019, I was really excited about the Two Popes. I don't know if you remember, but I was posting about them popes every day. I was really hype about the Two Popes. I thought it was very
for a
funny.
second, I thought there was 3 popes.
No, three popes. No, just the 2 of them, and they did great, and we love them. I was also really hype about Gemini Man in 2019. 2020, I just got really hype about Mank because there was just a movie called Mank, and I thought that was funny. So, happy Thanksgiving. I just got really hype about Mank all year. So 2021, we've arrived. I've found the movie that I'm going to get really hyped about.
Oh, God.
And unfortunately, it comes out in like 2 weeks, so I don't have like a full year of me getting hype about it. It just maybe a month. I think it comes out in July.
Okay, my movie also comes out in July.
All right, this is from first-time director Michael Sarnowski. A little movie, Oink Oink. It's called Pig.
Pig.
It's time for Pig. The movie is called Pig, and I've decided that this is the best name of any movie ever. Pig.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage. Now, how do you feel about Nick Cage?
Love Nick Cage.
Okay, good. Yeah, I love him too. I think he's a genius. I think when he likes a movie, he's one of the best actors in the world. When he doesn't like a movie, it shows. Sometimes he makes movies because he probably owes money to the IRS or something like that. That's why he makes so many fucking like straight to DVD action movies where he's barely awake during them. I think Pig is going to be a good Nicolas Cage performance based on the trailer. Apparently, this movie is about Nicolas Cage. He plays like a guy who used to be a cook at a restaurant, and now he's like a washed up dude who has a pet truffle pig, and someone steals his truffle pig and he needs to go find it.
Yeah, I'm about it. I'm telling you.
I gotta just say, I had a great time just explaining what the movie was about just now.
I've me, I intentionally haven't watched the trailer. I probably won't.
Yeah, no, you don't need to.
But
that's pretty much what it's about.
Yeah,
I will say, no, the trailer. They released a poster for the movie, and the poster was just a really like high definition close up of pig skin. Like you could just see it was like a pig's skin, and then it said Pig Nicolas Cage, and everyone was like, "Oh God, what's he doing? What's this one gonna be?" And then 2 days later, they released the trailer. It's a very somber trailer, and this is how I know that he's gonna be good in it. It starts with Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage. That's how you know. Not all Nicolas Cage movies start with Academy Award winner Nick.
Well,
not all of the movies are
Bangkok
trying to
Dangerous.
right, exactly.
And,
but not all of the movies start with like, "Hey, we need to remind you that Nicolas Cage is a good actor, and in this movie, he's going to do good at acting." So it starts with that. What I love about the trailer: somber, serious, dark. Screen says Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage, and the first thing you hear after that is the voiceover of Nicolas Cage saying, "I'm looking for a truffle pig." Woo, pig baby, oink oink. Cinema is back. We're ready.
All right.
Okay.
That's I'm hyped.
I'm hyped for Pig.
My movie, this is a segment it's supposed to be where I'm excited for.
Uh-oh.
I'm meh about it.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just gonna be what it is, and everyone knows what it's gonna be. It's supposed to be just an action. It's by Chris McKay. He did Lego Batman 1 and 2.
Sure.
Didn't watch those, but I guess they were decent. Whatever. It's starring Chris Pratt and J.K. Simmons.
Already bored. Well, I mean, not J.K. Simmons, but go ahead.
Right, because I know you're,
Chris Pratt is not a good leading man. Chris Pratt is not a movie star. Why do people think that he needs to lead franchises? He's not good at it. I
don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's doing too many studio numbers.
He's boring as a leading man.
Well,
he's good. I've never seen it, but the Parks and Rec energy, where he's like a supporting character who can have like some actual fun, or like he's really good in Her when he's just off to the side doing his own thing. I don't want to see him with a fucking laser gun shooting aliens, being like, "Looks like today's not your day."
That's the one I'm going to talk about, the Tomorrow War.
The Tomorrow War. I agree. Big meh energy on this one, folks.
Like, you know what you're gonna get, and I want some of that right now.
I need to see the movie. You're like, I just need like some. I need to get back to baseline.
Yes.
I understand.
Like, I just saw a masterclass from Daniel Day-Lewis. I need to be reminded what fun is now.
Okay. I mean, listen, I had fun, but I understand what you're saying.
You get it. You totally.
You're like,
get
let
it.
me just watch like a 2.5 star, like. Just...
Yeah, it's also Yvonne Strakowski from Handmaid's Tale. She's whatever. She's decent. I don't have a problem with her. I'm basically I was on the fence, and then I saw J.K. Simmons, and
I'll help.
I'll see anything that he's Michigan boy. Let's go.
I do love him. Yeah.
Oh, and he's just amazing.
The Tomorrow War. Meh. I agree.
Right. Okay. But I need Matt. So.
Well, oink oink, baby.
I need that too.
You ready to play the game?
Let's do it. Let's play
All right.
the game.
Do you want Paul Dano or do you want Daniel Day-Lewis? These are the only two options.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
All right, let's pull him up then. Whew. We're gonna have Brent. This is a game that we play at the end of every episode, where I'm going to have Brent. He's going to try to guess the top 5 grossing films from legendary actor Daniel Day-Lewis. You know,
there shouldn't be too many.
I was about to say, off the top of your head, how many movies do you think Daniel Day-Lewis has done?
Right, I've 9.
No, I mean he's done much more than that. He's done 20 movies.
Okay, well, I guess I'd say 9 ones that I would.
Sure. All right, so you ready to guess the top 5 grossing Daniel Day-Lewis movies?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, number 1 is a historical epic.
Lincoln.
Correct.
Okay.
Number 2 is it's also a historical epic.
Crucible?
No.
It's the Indian, right?
What?
Last of the Mohicans?
That's number 3. A wonderful movie.
Dang it. Okay. Well, you said. Well, he's really good in it.
He's so good in it. So number 1 is Lincoln by Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Number 2 is another big, epic, long, historical, drama by by another master of cinema who's made like 30 perfect movies.
Oh, Gangs of New York.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So we got Lincoln, Gangs of New York, and The Last of the Mohicans. 3 awesome movies made by like directors I definitely want to cover on this podcast.
Absolutely.
Can't wait. All right. Number 4 is a movie I don't think I've seen the entire thing. It's another really long historical drama. I actually didn't know he was in this. So he's not the lead in this one.
Oh.
I think this is a Best Picture winner.
Interesting.
It's a really long movie.
From the 90s?
No.
Earlier, 80s?
Yeah, 82.
82.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 82.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's definitely a movie you and me have both heard of for sure. Like it's a pretty famous movie. It's just I didn't know that he was in it, and I just I don't know what else to say about this movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this one.
Okay, it stars Ben Kingsley. Oh, if that didn't do it, I don't think you're gonna get it.
No, I don't.
No. You tap out?
Yeah, I'll tap out.
Gandhi.
That's like if I would have said one Ben Kingsley movie, like literally one, I probably would have said that. I don't know.
That was the one you would have guessed.
So dumb.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in Gandhi. Early 80s, I guess. Okay, number 5 is the movie that we covered today.
There Will Be Blood.
Correct. So there's the top 5.
It'd been crazy if you would have danced around it, and I wouldn't have been. It's a movie about anti-religion.
If I gave you bad guesses, oh man, yeah, he's the only real big star in the movie.
Came out in June.
This movie came out. Do you know when this movie came out? Came out on December 26th,
day after Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, I probably imagine if you would have released it on Christmas with all its religious themes in there.
Yeah, maybe that one's so great. Is there anything else we did? We did all the segments and shit, right? We already did all of our regular bullshit. We done?
No, if anything, if you want to talk about what's coming up next on the docket.
So, the next week's episode is The Master.
Another little movie with little stars.
Some mediocre performances.
Yeah. Ho hum performances.
Just kidding. It's another masterpiece. God damn it. We got to do it again.
More than likely, I will enjoy it just as much as this one.
Yeah, it's really good. All right. Well, folks, you can find us on Instagram at Film School Dropouts Pod and on Twitter at film_school_dropouts. We're also on Facebook. Follow us, review us, rate us, hang out with us, recommend shit to us. What else? Anything else?
Just leave nice comments and we'll read them.
Yeah, don't leave mean comments.
Don't do that.
No, don't do that. We're sensitive boys. All right, folks. Well, we'll see you next week when we talk about The Master. I'm James.
Brent.
All right, we'll see you.